True champions stare down challenge week after week, constantly overcoming adversity. Today, Wayne Hills will face what may be their hardest opponent all season in the Mahwah Thunderbirds. The matchup is truly a clash of the titans, as both teams stand undefeated, battle-hardened, and first in their respective divisions. Emotions will be running high as the Patriot seniors are welcomed by the Wayne Hills faithful for senior night, their last regular season home game. All bets are off for this high-intensity, high-stake game. Hills, Mahwah, now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Patriot Stadium in Wayne, New Jersey, where today's NBIL football matchup, the visiting Mahwah Thunderbirds at 7-0 will take on your 8-0 Wayne Hills Patriots. I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Parker Weston. So guys, last against Ramapo, Jeremiah Kale and the Patriots offense struggled to put points up on the board. How does the Wayne Hills offense perform better tonight, and what do they need to improve on from last week?
Well, it's leadership, Dave, obviously, because with the loss of GM Papa at quarterback, we saw in the first games that he played, he demonstrated great swagger back there at the quarterback position. Jeremiah really has yet to prove that to the Wayne Hills faithful and his coaching staff. He's got a lot of heart. He's got the potential. He's got to step it up tonight and prove that he's the man now that Michael's down.
Well, we saw last game, Jeremiah against Ramapo. It was his first game playing a full game, and he didn't seem comfortable in the pocket. He was moving around a lot. He couldn't get the ball pass off, and he relied on his running backs. So Jeremiah tonight needs to hold his composure. The offensive line needs to protect him so he can have time in the pocket to look downfield and find his wide receivers to do that. If Jeremiah gets time in the pocket, can throw the ball downfield, Wayne Hills will come away with the victory today.
Wayne Hills played a sloppy game last week overall, 4 turnovers. How important is it for the Patriots to limit their turnovers tonight, considering that they're playing a Mahwah team that could easily take advantage of turnovers?
Well, yeah, you got to hold on to the ball. If Wayne Hills starts turning the ball over, that gives Mahwah great opportunities. And Mahwah's not a shabby team either. I mean, they're coming this game undefeated too. They're just as good as Wayne Hills. If you start turning the ball over, Wayne Hills is going to struggle tonight if they keep forcing interceptions and fumble the ball. So Wayne Hills needs to hold on to the ball tonight if they want to expect to win this game.
Well, absolutely, Parker. I mean, turnovers, they don't win you ball games, to say the least. We saw in the first 7 wins for the Patriots that, hey, they don't turn over the ball, they win. They got lucky last week. They turned over the ball 3 times. They still won 28-7 against a Ramapo team that really has no offense, let's face it. But no, you're absolutely right, Parker. If they cut down on the turnovers, they should be absolutely fine. But if they turn over the ball, it's anyone's ball game.
So far this season, no one has been able to stop the Wayne Hills defensive line. Tonight, Mahwah has a couple of people over 200 pounds on their offensive line. Who will win the battle between the Wayne Hills defensive line and the Mahwah offensive line?
Well, I got to give it to Wayne Hills here. I mean, we just look, their unit that they've been playing together for now 2 years basically. They're a well-oiled machine. Mahwah, let's not take anything away from them either, because they beat a good Pascack Valley team that gave Wayne Hills a fight during the preseason. So it's going to be a battle for most of the game, but I'm going to have to give the advantage to the Patriots.
I also think Wayne Hills too, but the one thing the Patriots have to watch out for is Dave Ogden, because we all know last game he hurt his ankle. So if Dave Ogden come out strong at defensive end, I think the Wayne Hills defensive line will win the battle in the trenches.
Last week, special teams was a big factor for the Wayne Hills Patriots, and the whole season, special teams has been a huge factor for Wayne Hills. Tonight, what factor do you think special teams will play in this game?
Oh, I mean, the whole season has been a huge factor. Kick returns for touchdowns, punt return for touchdowns. We saw last week Carlton Marson gave the Patriots the lead with that huge kickoff return. Dan DeSico has done an excellent job as well, fielding punts and kickoffs. special teams has been a huge impact for the Patriots team this year, and they need as much help with this special teams to give them great field position and put points on the board.
Well, I mean, the special teams, Wally Johnson, he's an excellent coordinator for the special teams. There's not really a lot of wind tonight, so that'll give Scott Schultz an advantage on the kicking end, and especially as the Mahwah kicker as well. But back to the Patriots, punting, it's going to be a good indication of whether they're doing well. They put it inside their opponent's 5-yard line, 10-yard line, just to give football's all a game about field position. The way the Patriots have known to win games has been the special teams. So if they have good special teams tonight, they're going to get a win.
Andrew Parker, thank you very much. And now we're up the Wayne Hills football pregame show. Now let's send it down to the fourth member of our broadcast crew, Jason Olephant, who has a special report for us. Jason, take it away.
Thanks, guys. Are we going? Thanks, guys. Mahwah, after ending their season with a 5-5 record last season, have already surpassed their win total with an undefeated record of 7-0. Much of this success is thanks to star running back Greg Stripe. Wayne Hills comes in with a 24-game winning streak, as Mahwah, dating back to last year, comes in with a 9-game winning streak. Somebody's winning streak will end here tonight. The big thing to watch for in this game is Wayne Hills' defensive line versus Mahwah's offensive line. Mahwah's success comes from their running game, but Wayne Hills on defense has only allowed 1.6 yards per carry and only 1 rushing touchdown. Also for Wayne Hills, it's star running back Ray Van Pienen's 4th game back since his injury. In 3 games, Van Pienen has rushed for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. In order for Mahwah to stay in this game, they need to contain Ray Van Pienen. But for now, let's head back up to the studio.
Thank you very much, Jason. So, guys, what are your thoughts on tonight's game?
I mean, Dave, it's going to be, I think, a defensive matchup because Mahwah's known for their defense, and so are the Patriots. And it just shows because last year, as we know, there was no defense involved in that game for at least Mahwah.
Oh, yeah, defense is going to play a huge key tonight's game. It's whoever can win the battle in the trenches, offensive line versus defensive line, I think it's going to come away with a victory today. It's who can prove themselves in the trenches that will show the victor in tonight's game.
So Mahwah's coming into this game at 7-0. Going back to the season, no one ever would have thought that Mahwah would have been 7-0.
No, absolutely, Dave. I mean, you didn't expect either team to be 7-0. I mean, Mahwah, excuse me, to be 7-0.
And now let's go to our keys of the game.
Well, my keys is to stop the wing tee because we know that Northern Highlands absolutely Mahwah ran over them. The Patriots had to get ahead early, and they had to block for the backs. Definitely the Patriots.
And now, Parker, your keys to the game.
My 3 keys to the game are an effective running game, special teams field position, and play a complete game. Wayne Hills has 3 dominant running backs in Carlton Morrison, Dan DeSico, and Ray Van Pienen. And until Jeremiah Kale can prove himself throwing the game, these 3 guys can be competitive. Special teams has proven huge. They've been able to return punts and kickoffs for touchdown, as well as pin opponents inside their 20. These important factors will come away with the victory. And Wayne Hills is coming to this game 8-0. They've already clinched their division, and they're already looking for the playoffs. They can't come out tonight lackadaisical. They have to play a complete game. They have to keep focused if they want to come away with the victory tonight.
Now, back to my point. I didn't really get to it, but my biggest point for the Patriots is to stop the wing tee because Mahwah's used it the whole season, and they run over their opponents. Opponents have not found a way to stop it. I know that Coach Olson has broken it down the whole past week, just going into it, trying to figure out how to stop it. So the Patriots are going to be prepared to just see how they respond.
And now, finally, here are my keys to the game. Stop Greg Stripe, the dominant Mahwah running back. Do not turn over the ball, and good clock management. Mahwah loves to run the ball, and they want to control this clock. They want to have good long drives and get points. Wayne Hills has to stop Mahwah. They can't let Mahwah run the ball effectively, and Wayne Hills has to get on offense and put up points and get Mahwah out of this game early. Wayne Hills can't turn over the ball like they did last week. 4 turnovers, way too many. It almost cost Wayne Hills the game. And Greg Stripe is the most dominant running back in that wing tee system. They're going to try to pound the ball with Greg Stripe. But that great defensive line of the Wayne Hills Patriots has been awesome defending the run the whole season. And I don't think that's going to change tonight.
No, absolutely, Dave. It's definitely not going to change. I mean, they're just not going to all of a sudden not be able to stop the run because that's one thing last year. The defense at times was shaky, but then they would be able to amend it and win the games. But this year, defense has been absolutely solid throughout the whole season, have not let up at all. I don't see anything different tonight.
Oh, yeah, Wayne Hills got to shut down Greg Stripe because any dominant running back could take over a game. So Wayne Hills has got to pressure the quarterback and pressure Greg Stripe if they want to keep the Mahwah Thunderbirds out of the end zone tonight's game.
Now, let's go to the highlights from last year's Wayne Hills Mahwah game at Mahwah on October 22nd.
October 22nd, the Wayne Hills Patriots look to take on the Mahwah Thunderbirds. As you see here, Mr. Ray Van Penen, he takes it up the middle for a big gain. What else is new? Give it up to Van Penen. Goes into the end zone. Little 2-yard score there. Mahwah tries to get something going. Nope. The Wayne Hills defensive line absolutely shuts them down. Pursuit there by the Patriots as they force a fumble. All gobbled up. Gives it back to the Patriots. Peischel, a little play action fake. What happened here for the Thunderbirds? Scott Schultz, take it down the field, big boy, into the end zone. Another touchdown for the Patriots. Mahwah trying to get it going. Once again, just gobbled up by the defensive line of the Patriots. Peischel gives it up to Super Ray, and he just jots down the field, picking up a blocker or two. He gets down to about the 2-yard line, just short of the goal. And what do? Give it back to Big Ray. He gets it into the end zone for another score, and the Patriots are rolling. Peischel with a little play action fake here, and he actually keeps it for himself. He runs down the sideline to the end zone for another touchdown for the Patriots. I mean, this was just an absolute massacre up on Route 17. Mahwah trying to get something going. He throws it up, and it is intercepted by O-Rod. Omar Rodriguez takes it down the field, and the Patriots just keep on rolling on both sides of the ball. Little screen, bubble screen here for Ray Van Penen. Van Penen takes it down the left side, makes a juke. Beautiful play there by Ray Van Penen into the end zone, and they just keep on coming. Mahwah trying to at least get something started. Good pursuit there. Fumbles forced, picked up by the Patriots, and the ball is back in their favor. And the big play here on their own 1-yard line. Give it to Ray, right? Get a first down. He'll get a little more. Ray Van Penen, he's got the 40 to the 50. He goes 99 yards on this one, all to the house for the Patriots 49-6 victory. Absolute mayhem in Mahwah, guys.
That was just an incredible game for the Wayne Hills Patriots, especially that 99-yard touchdown by Ray Van Penen. I couldn't believe it when I saw the tape. I just couldn't believe it. He's just so dominant. It just shows you the kind of year that he had last year and the kind of running back that he is.
Oh, I mean, he's got talent. He's, quite frankly, one of the best running backs in North Jersey of all time. He's got natural-born talent. I mean, you think of the great running backs in New Jersey presently. You think of Joe Martinek. You think of Rashad White. Ray Van Penen's up in that group. If it wasn't for the knee injury this year, he could have had record-setting numbers this year.
Oh, yeah, just from watching that tape, you can see why Ray Van Penen was named the All-State player, Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, from that 90-yard touchdown, he got hit at the goal line. He bounced back from tackle. He just cut up the field. Every time he'd give the ball to Ray, Ray would make things happen. Stuff I've never even seen before. He's like a pro back, Tiki Barber style. So Ray is an unbelievable player, and it's too bad for the knee injury because I would have been excited to see what he could have done this season.
So, guys, now let's talk about the Northland Group 3 power rankings. Wayne Hills is tied with Teaneck for number 1, and this is a situation. Teaneck controls their own destiny. If Teaneck wins, they get the number 1 seed. Teaneck plays Ridgewood tonight in Teaneck, New Jersey. So if Teaneck wins, they get the number 1 seed. In order for Wayne Hills to get the number 1 seed, they have to beat Mahwah tonight and hope that Teaneck loses. So what are your thoughts on the power rankings?
Well, the power rankings are something else, let me tell you that. But Teaneck, they're a very good team. I mean, they have a great running back in Rashad White. He just carries a load for him. He's only a junior as well. He put 325 on the ground against St. Joe's. And, I mean, against a Green Knights defense, you know, St. Joe's is St. Joe's. So we all know that they have to have some talent. But I think Teaneck is going to, for Wayne Hill's sake, I mean, Ridgewood really does not have a legitimate shot at beating them. But if Teaneck wins, that means Clifton gets into the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the power rankings are quite interesting. I'm not actually sure how they work, but how do they work?
Well, you get a certain amount of points for each win. And then if you win a game, you get your opponent's total power points as well. So that's how it basically works.
Well, the thing that hurts Wayne Hills this year is that Rampo's usually good, so they usually get a lot of power points for beating Rampo. But since Rampo's 1-6 and Mahwah's 7-0, Mahwah's Group 2, they'll get less power points for beating Mahwah than they would for beating Rampo if Rampo is good. We'll be right back after this short break with Senior Night.
commitment and contribution to school spirit. Let us now introduce these young men and women along with their family members. Beginning with our cheerleaders, Jessica Dolavolpe, her mother Linda, and father Wayne. That's all right, they told me to start. Joe Ascalise is needed in the booth immediately. Joe Ascalise. Number 18, correction, Nicole Forlenza. Her parents, Barbara and Jay. Jevma Javanez, her parents Emma and James.
Go up and get a new box. Go up and get a new box.
Kristen Liguri, her mother Lisa and father Joe. Danielle Polidor, her parents Carmela and Al. Kara Popadix, her parents Kathleen and Theodore. Joanna Schrank, her parents Debbie and Charlie. Kristen Schreck, her parents Trish and Dan. Kristen Searfeld, her parents Diane and Brian. Samantha Simon, her parents Carol and Steve. Alex Verduin, her parents Ellie and Steve. And Ashley Weiseltier, her parents Marianne and Mark. And now to introduce our senior football players, along with their parents, number 22, Kevin Barakat, his parents, Barbara and Dave. Number 18, Anthony Chisholm. His parents, Guinevere Shaw, and his father, Anthony. Number 54, Steve DiBianco. His parents, Janice and Ed. Number 40, Mike Fulham. His parents, Linda and Mike. Number 72, Matt Johnson. His parents, Janet and Ryer. Number 77, Alex Jones. His parents, Dr. Suzanne Sherman, and his father, James. Number 34, Mike Massoud. His mother, Vivian, and his father, Michael. Number 55, Dave Ogden. His mom and dad, Carol and Paul. Number 63, Andrew Pareja. His parents, Anna and Alexander. Number 5, Jeff Przinski. His parents, Jane and Pete. Number 7, Ed Rolfe. His parents, Camille and Eddie. Number 35, along with his mother, Jill, Scott Schultz. Number 9, Steve Seafried. His parents, Joyce and Steve. And number 21, Ray Van Peenan. His parents, Susan and Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stand and give an appropriate round of applause to our senior players, cheerleaders, and parents.
toes are killing me.
Because I've left them, okay? In my house.
You're fine. You can use your hands to your pocket.
Yeah.
My toes are gone. Can't wait till I lose. I'm gonna lose feeling on my toes soon. That'll be good.
And we'll be back right after this after a short break.
68.
And welcome back to Patriots Stadium for the start of the game between the visiting Mahwah Thunderbirds and your Wayne Hills Patriots. I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Parker Weston. If you're just joining us, you are viewing a matchup of the undefeateds. Wayne Hills is coming into this game at 8-0, and Mahwah's coming into this game at 7-0. So, guys, I want to talk about the Wayne Hills running back threesome here. Now it's a threesome. They have Ray Van Penen, Dave DeSico, and Carlton Marson. Last week, the running game struggled a little bit. How do they get back on track this week?
Well, before we discuss the running game, Dave, I mean, as you saw on your screen before, the men in the black and white, they know what they're doing, but they're going to be a key in the keys in this game as well as to make the good calls and the bad calls. But back to your point about the running game, I mean, Greg Stripe, we all know the kid can run. Ray Van Penen, we all know he can run too. So whoever plays best in this matchup, I think, gives their team the better advantage.
Yeah, and the pressure's not on the running back, so more of the pressure's going to be put on the offensive line to open up holes and keep the defenders from going after the running back. So look for the offensive line to have a lot of pressure put on them in tonight's game for these running backs to be successful.
And for the home team,
So we're just moments away here from kickoff here at Patriots Stadium. It's a very cold Saturday night here. I'm freezing. My hands are numb. Feet are numb. I know Andrew's cold.
The
Andrew
faithful.
actually forgot his gloves for this game, so
The faithful's
battling.
cold. The faithful's cold as well, Dave, as you see on your screen there. The band's cold.
And now here are the starters on defense for the Wayne Hills Patriots. Number 55, Dave Ogden. Number 72, Matt Johnson. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Mezzi for the lineups.
at defensive tackle, number 35, Scott Schultz. Number 35. At defensive end, number 10, Kyle Hannenberg, number 10. At linebacker, number 20, Dan DeSico, number 20. At linebacker, number 40, Mike Fulham, number 40. At linebacker, number 4, Tim Waller, number 4. At linebacker, number 44, Mike Roman, number 44. At cornerback, number 20, number 5, Jeff Przinski. And free safety, number 21, Ray Van Penen, number 21. And here are the rest of the Wayne Hills Patriot squad.
So, guys, a couple of lineup changes for the Patriots on defense. Playing linebacker tonight, Tim Waller and Mike Roman are starting instead of Ray Van Penen and Mike Massoud. Ray Van Penen is playing safety. They took Jeremiah Kale out of the lineup so he could concentrate on his quarterback duties. And now we're going to rise for the national anthem and turn it over to the Wayne Hills Patriots marching band. So we are moments away from kickoff here at Patriots Stadium as the coin toss will take place now. Wayne Hills usually defers. So Mahwah has won 9 in a row dating back to last year, and the Patriots have won 24 in a row dating back to 2004. So 2 big win streaks are on the line here tonight at Patriots Stadium.
Something's got to give, Dave, as always.
For the Thunderbirds, number 55, Pete Cerny. Number 44, Jim.
So Mahwah is coming off a win last week against the Northern Highlands Highlanders. Mahwah won that game 28-6 against Northern Highlands. Wayne Hills beat Ramapo last week 28-7. It wasn't the best game the Patriots have played this year, but they still got the job done.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's all it's about, Dave. I mean, at the end of the game, if it's a win or a loss, that's all the people are going to look at. It's all that counts in the power rankings. So no matter how the Patriots played that game, they came out with a victory, and that's the most important.
As the captains are at midfield, from right to left, number 72, Matt Johnson, number 21, Ray Van Peden, number 40, Mike Fulham, and number 55, Dave Ogden. As I believe Mahwah has won the toss and they elected to receive. And Wayne Hills will get the ball to start the second half. So it's going to be very important here for Mahwah to have a nice, long first drive and put points up on the board, because Mahwah likes to run the ball, with Greg Stripe especially in that wing T formation. And if Mahwah could have a long drive and put points up on the board, they could have a good chance in this game.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. But a big factor of tonight's game is coaching, and we all know Coach Olson, he can coach. He's been around for 20-something years now, and he's just going at it every single night as usual. That business as usual. They just go out there and they play their best.
Coach Olson coming into this game at 165-44-1. Actually 166-44-1. What an incredible record.
It is. It's not on this opening drive. It's going to test the Patriots defense and see if they can step up to the challenge against this tough Mahwah running game.
It's definitely going to be a good test for this Wayne Hills defense, but their D-line has really rose to the occasion all year long. It's been so hard to run against this D-line that I can't see how Mahwah could find a way to run against this defense tonight.
No, I mean, we all know the defensive line is stellar, to say the least. They're just strong at all 4 units up at the front there. So, and we know special teams is key, and this is where it all begins. Let's see how Scott Schultz kickoff sets the tone for the game.
And for a running game, I wouldn't be surprised to see the first couple of runs go for Dave Ogden, because we all know of his bad ankle, to see how his ankle is putting out for this game.
As Scott Schultz is ready to kick off for the Patriots. As Greg Stripe and Scott Mathurin for the Thunderbirds are deep in Mahwah territory to receive the Schultz kick. Schultz only has 4 touchdowns this year compared to 19 last year. As a high kick from Scott Schultz. It's received by Stripe at about the 5-yard line. Stripe takes up the middle, and he's stopped by a host of Patriots at around the 22-yard line.
Good start there, tackle there by Carlton Morrison. Actually, well, I thought it was Carlton Morrison, but Ernie Mezzi the first to my decision. As Mahwah takes over on the 23-yard line, and Matt Dubow has just entered. He will be here for the second and fourth quarters.
As the clock is not working here at Patriots Stadium, there have been clock problems the whole season, as quarterback Paul Scherer is leading his troops to the line. Jumbo set, Scherer, handoff to Stripe. As Stripe has a nice run as he drags number 22 Kevin Barakat for a couple yards. He's around the first down marker. I believe he's just short of the first down.
Now let's see how this new defensive...
No, he got it. He got the first down.
As I was saying, David, let's see how this new defensive unit, basically new because we've seen a couple changes here and there, but overall it's the same lineup that's gone through. But let's see how they adapt quickly in this game.
So first and 10 for Mahwah on their own 32-yard line. Jumbo set. Scherer rolls out to his left. And it is almost intercepted by Dave DeSico, as Dave DeSico had the ball in his left hand, but he couldn't haul on the catch. Good pressure there by number 40, Mike Fulham.
He got right into the quarterback's face, who is Paul Scherer. Fulham got right into his grill, and then he just threw a pass there, and it nearly picked off by Daniel DeSico.
So now it's 2nd and 10 for Mahwah. The Wayno's defensive line really has to penetrate well against this tough offensive line of the Thunderbirds and shut down the running lanes. Handoff to the right, and he fumbles. Straight fumbles, and it's picked up by Mike Fulham to the 5. Touchdown, Patriots! As the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 6-0 lead off a fumble by Greg Stripe.
Well, at the beginning of the game, we talked about how Wayne Hill should prevent turnovers, but we never talked about how they should force turnovers. And right there proved that Wayne Hill should force turnovers, put points on the board, and a great job by Mike Fulham on that play.
Absolutely, a fantastic pursuit there by the Patriots, forcing Scherer to fumble the ball. Stripe to fumble the ball, excuse me. And Stripe's our main weapon back there, so rattle him up early. That's great for the Patriots.
So Scott Schultz to take the extra point. Schultz is 45 for 48 on extra points this season. The Seco to hold. Dubow was the holder until he got hurt. Snap is high, brought down by the Seco. As the kick is good, so Scott Schultz is now 46 for 49 on the season, and the Patriots take a 7-0 lead. But guys, like I talked about in the open, I said Mahwah had to have a good long drive and march down the field and put some points up on the board. This is the last thing that they needed.
Oh, well, David, absolutely. But my point in the open as well was for the Patriots to get ahead early. And what do you know? Well, I can't tell how much time there is because according to the scoreboard, there's 70 minutes left. But that's obviously not correct. But they've gotten ahead early, so they're in good shape.
As you hear the Notre Dame victory song by the Wayne Hills Marching Band. And if you know David Suntup, which is myself, you know I love the Notre Dame victory song.
Dave, you've been known to dance to it multiple times.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the most sacred song that the marching band plays. That's to say the least.
Now, Dave, what if they played a Chilling Championship by Sam Spence?
Oh, that's also very sacred. I love that song, too.
Yeah.
Do you hum them in the shower, Dave?
What?
Do you hum them in the shower?
That's confidential information. Anyway, kick handled by Stripe at about the 8-yard line. As he is tackled at about the 26-yard line. There could be a fumble. Carlton Marson is said that there's a fumble. And same with Kevin Barakat. As the refs think otherwise. So now Mahwah will take over at their own 21-yard line. So guys, Greg Stripe, he had a good first run to start this game, and then on his second carry, he fumbles. How do you think his confidence will be affected going into this drive?
Well, he's a young man, as we know, but he has to be rattled up, no question.
There could be another fumble here.
Second down.
Still Mahwah ball. I'm not sure who that handoff was to exactly. I couldn't see the number.
It was to the fullback. But anyway,
which
Dave.
was James Gianella.
I mean, Gianella ran up there. I mean, they have to stop fumbling the football. That's not going to win them game.
Especially against a team like Wayne Hills. Especially when you're on the road, too. So it'll be about 2nd and 11 for Mahwah. Scherer rolls out to his right. Pump fakes. Scherer's going to try to run it. Good run there by Scherer as he fends off a couple of tackles and gets out of bounds for a gain of about 4 yards.
He turned nothing into that play. He turned nothing from that play into something. So good work by the quarterback on that play.
Good resilience by Scherer. He could have been tackled for a loss of 1 or 2 yards, but instead he gains about 4 or 5 on the play. So it'll be 3rd and 6 here for Mahwah. Big possession here, because if Mahwah doesn't convert, Wayno's get the ball back, and then they could put some points on the board because this Wayno's offense is very potent. So 3rd and 6 here for Mahwah. One wide receiver split left. Scherer back to pass. Good pressure by Ogden as the pass is complete. As number 28, Scott Mathern, is tackled in the backfield by Danny DeSico. What a fantastic play by Danny DeSico.
And he's hyped up. You could definitely tell that because he's coming to this game. He didn't play up to his potential in the Ramapo game. He played. He had interception, but for the most part, he was having trouble the whole game. He must have worked on it a lot in practice. We all know Danny, and he did a great job there.
I talked to Danny after the Marvel game, and he was a little disappointed with the way he played. He really wants to come back this week and put up a big performance, and so far he's definitely doing his part.
And Morrison deep for the Patriots.
So number 61, James Stantopoulos to punt for Mahwah. As he just gets that punt off in time, as it's bobbled by Carlton Morrison, and Mahwah recovers.
It's not clear yet, David, but I believe Mahwah.
It looks like he fouled it. I think Mahwah got on top of it. Actually, no, Hill still has it.
Morrison on the punt return recovers his
I know
own
Carlton
fumble.
Morrison has been fantastic at returning punts all season, but in that situation where you have someone coming in your face, I probably would have fair catched it in that situation, or fair caught it.
I think I would have too. That was a dangerous situation. That was almost a first turnover for Wayne Hills in this game.
So Wayne Hills will take over on the Mahwah 44-yard line as Jeremiah Kale makes his second start for the Wayne Hills Patriots at quarterback. Brzezinski in motion. Kale, play action, as he goes out to Mike Foam, and it's complete. He's at the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Patriots. Mike Foam, his second touchdown of the game, and the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 13-0 lead.
Mike Fulham's leaving where he left off last year in senior night. It seems that every time senior night happens, Mike Fulham steps up in the clutch. And we saw there beautiful play action fake there by Jeremiah Kale. He rolled out to his right, and nobody was even near Mike Fulham. So excellent play calling there by the Patriots, and lack of coaching on the Mahwah Thunderbirds side.
And we talked about in the beginning of the game about what Jeremiah has to do to come back from a horrible game last week. And so far, he's started off the game good as quarterback for a second straight game.
The snap is good, as the kick splits the uprights, and the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 14-0 lead. So Scott Schultz is now 47 for 50 on the season on extra points. That's just fantastic. 94%. Guys, what are your thoughts on Scott Schultz's improved kicking?
Well, he's definitely practiced on it. There's no question about that. He practiced during the offseason, he practiced during the preseason, and he's really reflected his play out there kicking. He's yet to kick a field goal this year, I believe. So 47 for 50, 94% on extra points, that's sensational.
Well, kickers are a very criticized position in football because people think it's an easy job. All you have to do is kick it through 2 bars. But if anybody's ever tried it before, kicking field goals is not easy. So you have to give a guy like Scott Schultz a lot of credit for nailing 47 extra points in a season.
On that last touchdown by Wayne Hills, Mike Fulham was playing fullback. So I think Mike Massoud must be hurt because he's not playing linebacker, he's not playing fullback.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have heard an injury report.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
Maybe Jason Oliphant could find something for us, folks.
Actually, Massoud's playing on special teams, so I really don't know what the story is. Maybe they wanted a different look. As the kick is handled by Stripe at about the 8-yard line. As Stripe is taken down by a host of Patriots at about the 27-yard line. Good special teams play there by the Patriots.
And that's what's going to win the ball game, Dave. It's your special teams play that just keeps them in the games, and it wins them ultimately for them.
Mahwah really has to come out, and they have to try to throw the ball. They haven't really been able to run the ball that well in this Patriots defense, except for the first play. They have to come out and they have to move the chains. They're not gonna get a ton of long plays on this Patriots defense, but they have to get short passes and move the chains. As Sheriff brings his troops to the line, number 7, Jamar Dixon split right.
Timeout taken by the Thunderbirds.
As the Thunderbirds are going to call a timeout, head coach Jeff Remmer wants to talk things over with his offense.
Well, they also had 12 guys in the huddle, so they didn't want to burn they didn't want to take a penalty for 5 yards for that.
Definitely not, especially when you're already down 14-0 against a team like Wayne Hills. And while we have a moment, I'd like to give you tonight's trivia question, which is brought to you by Wayne Hills High School. Study hard and get good grades. Scott Schultz broke the record for forced fumbles this season against Demarest back on October 6th when he notched his 6th forced fumble. Who held the previous record for forced fumbles in a season? Answer coming up shortly.
Dave, that is just a stumping question, let me tell you. I mean, if I had not looked on the sheet before the game with the answer, that I'd be in trouble because I really, Dave, I can't even think of anything.
Well, Andrew, I thought you were a guru when it came to Wayne Hills football history.
Was the answer John Brandel? Is that
No.
I didn't think so.
Sure, hand off to Stripe, as Stripe is taken down at about the line of scrimmage. Kyle Hannenberg on the tackle.
Greg Stripe on the carry.
So now it'll be about 2nd and 10 for Mahwah.
Kyle Hannenberg on the tackle along with number 44.
So
Michael
Dave, now
Edmonds.
next week we all know it's the first round of the playoffs. I'll be doing play-by-play, so the telecast will be just a little bit better. Anyway, Dave, I mean, who do you think, if the stars align right now in the correct position, it all says that Olephant's going to be the first round opponent. How do the Patriots match up against Olephant? How do you see that game looking?
I think Wayne Hills will win that game. They already beat Olephant in Olephant 21-10. We'll be back. I'll talk about it after this play. As Stripe runs up the middle for a game of about 2 to 3 yards, and he's taken down by a host of Patriots. So it'll be another 3rd and long situation for Wayne Hills. But back to what you were saying, Andrew.
Stripe on the carry.
Olephant really loves to run the ball, but they don't have much of a passing game. And if you can't throw the ball against Wayne Hills, you're not going to win. Because the Patriots' rushing defense is so fantastic, and it's so hard to run against their rushing defense, that Jamie Rowe and Mo Gotu did not really do much against Wayne Hills when they played against Wayne Hills. And the Wayne Hills offense, Jeremiah's going to have a couple games under his belt, so he'll be ready. And I just think Wayne Hills will definitely win that game against Olephant. So 3rd and long here for Mahwah. Good pressure there by Mike Robin as he pressured Paul Scherer, and then Scott Schultz almost picked off that pass. That was almost a pick 6 there.
And this is definitely not the start that Mahwah wanted to get into, because absolutely they did not want to do this. You can't fall behind against a good team like the Patriots like this ever.
So now Mahwah will have to punt for the 2nd time. And in Mahwah's 3 possessions so far, they've had a fumble and 2 3-and-outs. So definitely not what Coach Jeff Remmel wants.
Of course not. You don't come expecting you're an undefeated team, come to play another undefeated team. You don't want to start the game having to go 3-and-out 3 times. So far it's not looking good for Wayne Hills. For Mahwah, excuse me.
As a line drive kick by Stantopoulos, as I believe that
Down by number 20, Greg Stripe.
as that punt, did that hit off of Carlton Marson?
Apparently not, because they're ruling it Wayne Hills' ball.
Okay, I wasn't totally sure. So Wayne Hills will take over at about their own 40.
1st and 10 on the 38-yard
So the Patriots will take over at their own 38-yard line. I didn't think after the first punt that Carlton was going to catch that punt. But from my angle, I couldn't tell if he touched that or not. So Wayne Hills will take over for their 2nd offensive possession of the game. And on their first offensive possession, Jeremiah Gayo threw a touchdown pass to Mike Fulham for a 40-yard touchdown pass. Bearcat in motion. Gayo. As the screen to Bearcat is no good, the pass is just out of the reach of Kevin Bearcat, as I believe the Patriots are trying to run a bubble screen there.
Yes, they were. And Masood's back in the lineup, Dave, so maybe they were just trying to shake things up. Maybe it's a different formation.
So how important do you think it was for Jeremiah Gayo to get that first touchdown pass under his belt in this game?
Well, I mean, he needed a confidence booster, Dave. He didn't have it with how he's been playing in the past couple of weeks, especially against Rampo. He was shaking up. I just don't think he had the confidence, because we all know he has the physical tools. So to get that touchdown under his belt is key.
Oh yeah, that touchdown pass is a huge morale and confidence booster, because last week's game wasn't so hot for him, and after throwing a touchdown pass like that can really help his passing game.
As Wayne Hills is going to call a timeout, as Coach Olson wants to have a little chat with his offense. So while I have a moment, I'd like to give you the answer to tonight's trivia question, which was brought to you by Wayne Hills High School. Study hard and get good grades. The question, actually, there's your answer. It was Greg Olson and Ray Van Peden. But the question was, Scott Schultz broke the record for forced fumbles in a season with 6 against Demarest back on October 6th. who held the previous record, and the answer was Greg Olson and Ray Van Penen. And now let's send out to the sideline where Jason Olephant has a report for us. Jason, take it away.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with a huge Wayne Hills football fan, Mike McHugh. Mike, what do you think of the game so far?
Right now, my expectations are pretty high for the Patriots right now. Tell you the truth, I didn't even know Mahwah was an undefeated team. I thought they were like 2-5 or something, you know. Because, you know, they were never really the best in football, I'll tell you that much.
It's 14-0 right now. What do you think of that Mike Fulham touchdown?
Well, I think the Patriots needed that as well as Jeremiah Kale to ensure that, you know, so.
Thanks, Mike. Let's head back up to the booth.
As there's flags on the field, that was just a fantastic run by Dan DeSico. He made something out of nothing. It looked like he was going to be brought down in the backfield for a loss, and he gets close to the first down marker, but there's a flag on the play, and that could be coming back. So thank you very much, Jason, for that interview with Michael McHugh.
That interview was just unbelievable. Let me tell you.
Q's corner on the field.
Well, Q's corner, he's going to be up here later for an interview too. So, folks, you're not missing out. You love to hear Michael's voice, and you saw him in person for the first time on camera, so you know where he gets his looks.
Yeah, from Donna and Mike McHugh. But that's a 10-yard penalty on the Wayne Hills Patriots. It will back them up 10 yards from the spot of the foul. So I believe it's going to be about 2nd and 20 from the Patriots' 28-yard line.
2nd and 20.
As Kale brings his troops to the line, Masood isn't at fullback, so he's not injured. DeSico in motion. Kale, play action, rolls out to his left. He's looking for Masood, as the pass is just out of the reach of Mike Masood. So now it'll be 3rd and 20 for the Wayne Hills Patriots.
This is a big play for the Patriots because if they could just get some more yardage, not even get a first down, but just to get a little punt off so they can pin Mahwah back in their own on their own half of the field.
Last season, towards the middle to the end of the year, the Patriots really started to get Alex Gibson involved in the passing game. And now, both passes have been intended for fullbacks in this game so far, Mike Fulham and Mike Masood.
Well, it's just the way that the Patriots, the coaching, you know, it seems that towards the end of the year they like to get the running backs, the fullbacks particularly involved in the passing game. We see the bubble screen being used more often, so maybe it's just the way as the weather gets colder, the running backs get used more.
Shotgun formation for Wayne Hills, 3rd and 20 from their own 29-yard line. Van Penen in motion. As Wayne Hills is going to have to burn their 2nd timeout. We're only in the 1st quarter here, and the Patriots have already used 2 timeouts.
They did? No, Mahwah burned it the one time.
The Patriots already used a timeout in this sequence.
On the same one?
Yeah, they
Yes.
just on the same drive. We saw this happen last game too against Rampo. They called 2 timeouts early in the game last week. So
They must be creating new plays during practice. We've seen a lot of miscommunication the past couple weeks on the field with the Patriots. So maybe it's just getting used to the plays and stuff. So as long as they run it right, that's all that matters.
it's also you're working a new quarterback into a whole new system too. So there's going to be miscommunications from the coach to the quarterback.
I think it's a little bit of both, because last week the struggles were mainly between Jeremiah and his receivers and the center, Andrew Pareja. But I saw them working out some new plays and warm-ups. The receivers are doing new jukes and new routes, so they definitely have changed some things up.
In your screen there, Eileen Albanese and Pat Farrell are 2 great women who run the Baseball Booster Club. They're the ones that get things done for that program, and they're unbelievably very generous to me, to say the least.
Shotgun formation for the Wayne Hills Patriots, 3rd and 20 from their own 29-yard line. As their flags come flying down. False start on the Wayne Hills Patriots. So that's going to back Wayne Hills up another 5 yards. So now it's going to be 3rd and 25 from their own 24-yard line.
And I just noticed they sort of got the scoreboard working. The score's up, but the time is wrong.
And also, there's no 64-yard line in football.
Well,
But they at least have the score up there, but there's no clock.
I would hope there's no 64-yard line. Unless we're playing in the Canadian Football League. That's a different story.
So 3rd and 25 from the Patriots' 24-yard line. Van Penen in motion, split right. Gayo back to pass. Rolls out to his left. He throws it to Mike Fulham. Fulham down the sideline. He's got a block, and he's taken down at about the 40-yard line.
So they're back to their original line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
1 yard greater than the original line of scrimmage. So at least they got something, and now they can hopefully pin Mahwah back sort of deep into their own zone. They're going to be punting from their own 40-yard line.
And the Seago's back at the 25, so it's going to be even more of a
With the
yardage
way
to
the
make up.
Mahwah offense has looked today, it won't take much for Wayne Hills to stop the Mahwah offense because Mahwah really hasn't been able to get any rhythm on offense so far. High snap. High punt by DeSico. As it's going to bounce out of bounds, it's going to be touched by number 2, Jeremiah Kale. So Mahwah will take over from about their own 32-yard line. And looking in the stands, a band legend has returned here to Patriots Stadium, Aaron Stolupi. Guys, what are your thoughts on Mr. Aaron Stolupi?
Dave, when you said that name, my mind just went blank because he was just such a man of charisma. I mean, the way he used to dance with the cheerleaders that one time with the pom-poms, he had the groove going, and he's just unbelievable. If we can only get a shot, you could see him with over there towards the middle of your
Guy
screen.
standing up.
That's a good zoom-in shot there by Staloop with whoever our cameraman was on that shot. I believe that's – I can't even tell who our cameraman is. Patrick Calabrese with a great shot there. I mean, Aaron Staloop with a little hat on, with the sideburns growing. I mean, just look at the way he's standing. You could just tell that's a legend written all over him.
He's now a music major at the University of Massachusetts. And speaking of Aaron Stolupi, Andrew, you're going to be the new music DJ at the Vault, taking over for the man known as Mr. Aaron Stolupi.
Well, I have big shoes to fill. That's all I got to say.
And I'm also going to be the public address announcer, taking over for Chad Cutler. As the handoff is up the middle to number 44 of the Mahwah Thunderbirds, James Gianella, as Mahwah moves the chains and picks up a first down.
James Gianella on the carry.
And that's one thing the Patriots don't want to do. They don't want to let Greg Stripe run down the field or Gianella or any other running backs that they use because they use 4 different ones. But they don't want that to happen because if that happens, excuse me, Mahwah will definitely have a good advantage in this game, even though they're down 14-0.
If you're at home watching this game, you may think, well, Wayne Hills has done such a great job shutting down the run this year, especially up the middle. But Mahwah has a very big offensive line, so they're going to get more penetration than other teams would. But on that play, great pursuit there by the Wayne Hills defense as Tim Waller and Mike Fulham are in on that play. So Mahwah suffers about a yard or 2 loss on that play, and that will be about 2nd and 11 or 2nd and 12.
It must be so intimidating if you're an opposing player of the Wayne Hills Patriots defensive line because when you're going up against bodies, Dave Ogden, Matt Johnson, and you got Mike Fulham in the linebacking group, you got Kyle Hannenberg on that line, Scott Schultz, it's got to be too intimidating. I could never do it. I know that.
Sherrod back to pass. He rolls out to his right, and he's sacked in the backfield by Danny DeSico.
DeSico's come into this game with a little more, I guess, giddy in his step, you can say, because he has just come up so big in the early going on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
Matt Dubow just informed me that was his safety blitz.
Matt Dubow is a man of, I'm just losing words for him because he'll be here in the second quarter. You can get a gist of him.
And I have the pleasure of having a locker right next to Matt Dubow, so.
I'm in that same hallway, so it must be that air over there because 3 legends in one hallway. You don't get better than that. Chelsea Frieswick, too, Matt Dubow's significant other, I guess you can say.
So it'll be 3rd and 17 for Mahwah. Sherrod back to pass. Rolls out to his right, and he's sacked again. Dave Ogden and Scott Schultz in on that sack. The sack masters, Schultz and Ogden, as Mahwah will be forced to punt for the 3rd time in this game. And speaking of Dave Ogden, coming up at halftime, Matt Dubow had a special interview with the player known as the Wizard of Og.
Jimmy Cavallo gave him that nickname.
What'd you say, Andrew?
Jimmy Cavallo gave him that nickname.
Yes, he did. I love that nickname. It's a
Devin
great nickname.
Dreher is on the sideline as well, so he's back. A lot of college kids are back for this senior night.
Xanthopoulos, the punt. A nice high punt by Stanthopoulos as Carlton Marston will call for a fair catch, as he fair catches it at about the 36-yard line.
As he wisely does, because the first time he fumbled the ball, and the second time it just skidded by him. So smart move there by Carlton Marston.
As you see Carlton Marston, he probably wishes that he had one to return there. But good special teams coverage by Mahwah as they get down the field quickly. As we talked about in our open, special teams a very important factor in this game. And so far, Mahwah has done a good job punting to Wayne Hills as they're not giving Carlton Marston any room to return any of these punts. I formation, Przinski in motion. Kale, hand off to Van Penen as Van bounces it out to his right. He's still up. He's at the 35, and he is taken down at about the 50-yard, actually. He was at the 45 before taken down at the 50. Flags on the field. This could be coming back.
They're going to call holding on this, but I really did not see that evidently on the play.
And it is coming back. It is holding on Wayne Hills.
You can see Coach Olsen didn't agree with that call either because he's down on the field yelling at the ref right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be that referee.
As Coach Olsen is talking the call over with the referee, he's not happy with the ref's call. Usually if there's a call that goes against Wayne Hills and Coach Olsen knows it's on Wayne Hills, he usually talks to his player. I didn't even see Coach Olsen say anything to his player there. He just talked to the ref. So Coach Olsen knows that it wasn't the player's fault who was charged with the holding penalty.
A 10-yard penalty.
So that's a 10-yard penalty
from the point of
the foul. So it looks like Wayne Hills will have the ball on their own 32-yard line. So they really only lost about 5 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Dave, this could be the most attendance the opponent has had against the Wayne Hills this whole season because the Mahwah side is full.
And also, Mahwah's really not that close here, but since it's a game of 2 undefeated teams, that's why Mahwah has so many people here. As Van Penen takes a handoff to the left, and he's up the middle for about a 7-yard gain. So now it'll be 3rd and short for Wayne Hills. As you see the Mahwah faithful there. Mahwah has nothing to lose coming into this game because they already locked up the #1 seed in the North 1 Group 2 playoffs.
They're playing for bragging rights, so it is something, Dave.
Bragging rights, confidence, just to test their ability. But so far, they're not having the greatest go-around here in Wayne, New Jersey at Patriots Stadium. So it'll be about 3rd and 5 here from the Patriots' 42-yard line. I formation. Kale, handoff Van Penen. Bounces outside to the left, and he's taken out of bounds at about the Mahwah 48-yard line as Van Penen picks up the first down.
We haven't really seen, as we did last year, I mean, you can blame the injury and all, but Ray Van Penen, he's played solid in his return, but we haven't seen some of those breakout plays that we saw last year. So maybe he's saving a couple for the playoffs so that we're going to enjoy it.
Well, he's starting to get more of his speed back and more of his agility back. I've even seen that tonight. I've seen him break a couple of tackles, so some good signs here for Wayne Hills. And that's the end of the first quarter here at Patriots Stadium as the Wayne Hills Patriots are defeating the Mahwah Thunderbirds 14-0.
How was everyone tonight?
Matthew, I'm doing I'm okay. I'm kind of tired. I have a mild headache, but overall I'm doing well.
It's a
Yourself?
little nippy, I understand.
Matt, how was the celebration dinner for Joseph Dubow?
It was amazing. I'd like to say happy birthday to my father, Joseph Dubow, if he's watching, which he actually wanted to be here tonight, but he understood. You know, my mother made a very big dinner for him, so he had to stay home and eat.
I'm sure Janice is the guru when it comes to cooking.
Well, food or a football game, I had to go with the first one. I mean, that's just me.
Those Italian families, we like our food. What can I say?
Joe Dubow on the radio back in the day.
So, Matt, what are your thoughts on the game so far?
So far, I'm very impressed with Wayne Hills, particularly Jeremiah Kale. He's kept his cool. He hasn't made any, careless mistakes. He's made 2 completions, both to Mike Fulham, if I'm correct, one for a big touchdown. I mean, I'm just very impressed by him. He's really turned it around from last week. As he was confident. I talked to him in one of my classes. He was confident he could turn it around, and he really has. So,
I formation here for Wayne Hills. Handoff Van Penen makes a couple of jukes to his left, and he's taken down at about the 42-yard line. So it'll be about 2nd and 4 here for the Wayne Hills Patriots.
This is a key quarter for the Thunderbirds because if they want any shot in coming back, they're going to have to score before halftime to give them some confidence. Unless their coach gives them a Lombardi-like speech at halftime. Right now, 14-0 in the second quarter. You can't see Mahwah getting any momentum, especially with Van Penen running the ball effectively and Kale playing extremely well in the pocket.
So it'll be 2nd and 4 for Wayne Hills. I formation, 2 wide receivers split right. Kale, handoff Van Penen as he's taken down the backfield for about a 2 or 3 yard loss. Good play there by number 75, Chris Johnson.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they haven't been pushing the quarterback sneak too much with Jeremiah Kale. Last week we saw that a lot right out of the gate. They're pushing the bootleg, the quarterback option for Jeremiah because he's a very mobile quarterback. This week I think they're trying to build his confidence before they do that. You know, you don't want him getting sacked on a little quarterback bootleg, getting upset with himself, and then making mental mistakes. He's built up his confidence. Now I think you're going to start seeing them use him a little more on the mobile side.
I think also Mahwah's defensive line is very big. As you see, David Suntup on your screen. I'm waving to the camera. I'm the fantastic-looking guy with the red hood on.
Oh, God.
Handoff Van Penen as he stiff arms the defender, and he's taken down right around the first down marker as the ref's going to call about the 36-yard line, and the Wayne Hills Patriots get the first down.
Mahwah does not have much of an answer for Ray Van Penen tonight. He's really exploding. He's having a very good game, and, you know, lots of powerful running.
Matthew.
As you see the signal for first down. But I'd like to compliment Patrick Calabrese, as there you see our cameraman, Brian Rossman, and showing you, Brian Rossman, on the right of your screen and showing you on the left. But Patrick Calabrese just had a great camera shot before when he put me on the screen. I just hope he shows me again. It would just be an honor. Kyle, handoff Van Penen, bounces out to his right, cuts it back as he's taken down, as he gets a game about 4 on the play.
And
I
there
see
is
Patrick Calabrese filming the action, one of our freshman cameramen.
You know, he's come a long way, to say the least. I mean, he's a man that, you know, came in as a freshman, liked the things, the ways of the camera, and he's come in and he's done a pretty nice job. Solid job for Patrick.
Now, that last play, Ray Van Penen showed great awareness, you know, bouncing back to the inside after there was nothing for him on the outside. And, you know, that's just what makes a great running back.
So we have 2nd and 6 here for Wayne Hills. Jeff Brzezinski in motion. That's going to be a handoff to Jeff Brzezinski. He bounces it out to the left, and he's taken down at about the 28-yard line. So Brzezinski will be about a yard or 2 short of the first down, and that will be a 3rd and short situation here for Wayne Hills.
We're seeing a lot of different plays here in the early going for the Patriots. Wide receiver misdirection there, giving it to Brzezinski, who hasn't been really used on the offensive side of the ball. He was my wild card in the beginning of the year on defense, and he still is. He lays out the big hits out there, and he's a leader out there for the Patriots. So used on the offense there, rarest thing.
I think Coach Olson is, one, trying to change things up, and also he's trying to test new plays, and maybe he could possibly use one of these plays there in the playoffs.
My exact thoughts, Dave.
Handoff up the gut to Ray Van Penen as he jumps forward. Not sure if he has the first down. It's going to be close. Let's see what the ref says.
I believe he's going to be short.
I think it's going to be inches.
Now,
4th and inches.
Now, here's something to think about, folks. Something to chew on. You're up 14-0. Do you try Scott Schultz's leg to see if he has anything for the playoffs?
Those were my exact thoughts. I mean, he hasn't had many opportunities. You really have to, you know, get him loose, build up some confidence for him. He's doing amazing on extra points, but, you know, other teams aren't exactly scared of him because they haven't seen what he has to offer as far as field goals. Oh, so I would personally give it to him.
While you guys have a good point, you also have to see what Jeremiah Kale has in a situation like this. Kale, handoff. Kale's going to take it himself on a bootleg. He's at the 5, and he's hit out of bounds at about the 3-yard line. What a run there by Jeremiah Kale.
There's that mobility I was talking about. Exactly. Great play call by Coach Austin with a little play action, quarterback boot. I mean, Jeremiah is lethal on that play. Everyone's huddled close to the line. He just breaks it to the outside and takes the lane.
They faked me out. I thought Ray had the ball going up the middle.
He faked me out, too. I originally thought Ray had it, but then Jeremiah is scampering up the left sideline and gets a huge gain. So that'll be 1st and goal for Wayne Hills at about the 4-yard line.
I'd like
Double
to
set here for the Patriots. Handoff Van Penen as he pushes ahead. As Van Penen's going to be down at about the 2 or 3-yard line.
You know, Jeremiah's been having such a great game tonight. I really am going to have to start calling him Dr. Kale because he is operating on that defense. He's slicing them up, running and passing, seeing all plays and possibilities in the defense. He's really impressing me tonight. So Dr. Kale is how I'm now referring to him.
I'm calling him the Doc. That's
Doc,
just me.
I like it.
But actually, freshman year, I don't think I can, because if you see on your screen Christina Bavona there, I gave her that nickname freshman year in geometry class with Mr. DiMatoulis, so I don't think I can call her Doc.
I'm going to stick with Dr. Kale.
Doc somewhere
Doc
down
for
there.
short.
Jumbo set here for the Patriots, 2nd and goal. Handoff Van Peden as he scampers into the end zone. Touchdown Patriots, and the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 20-0 lead.
Just an amazing offensive drive there for Wayne Hills. Jeremiah Kale had to tell him they really have no answer for Wayne Hills' running game. I mean, Ray Van Peen is going on them all day. They have the reverses, the play actions. Jeremiah is getting in on the action. I mean, just a very impressive drive for Wayne Hills.
Andrew, the point that I was going to bring up was when we played soccer in 3rd grade for Ralph D'Amico, Jeremiah Kale was our teammate, and he was just a fantastic soccer player. I never thought when I played on that soccer team that I'd be playing with the future quarterback of the Wayne Hills Patriots. Snap is good, and the kick splits the uprights as the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 21-0 lead. But Andrew, back to my point. Looking back when I played for the Wayne Panthers, I never thought that I'd play with Jeremiah Kale, who is now the
Dr. Kale,
quarterback
Dave. Dr.
of the
Kale.
Wayne Hills Patriots.
No, neither would I, Dave, because back then, I don't think he might have played football. I don't remember. I'm not sure. But I know Mark Kirk played football back then, so I knew that he had a future in this, as he is the backup running back for the Patriots this year. But back to your point, Dave, I mean, there was just some guys on that team. I mean, Chris Gaffney, look where he's gone, you know, as the Wayne Valley faithful. I don't know. I really would like to chalk up on that.
Oh, I would too. He played over us.
Yeah, let's not go there. Chris Gaffney. You heard?
So, guys, if you're Mahwah, what do you do now to try to get some of the offense churning here on this next drive?
Well, I take some shots on the field and try a couple of long passes. Rampo was able to complete 2 or 3 long passes against the Wayne Hills secondary last week. So I try to test this Wayne Hills secondary. And Jeff Brzezinski is moving over from his safety spot to play cornerback. So I definitely try to test the secondary. But the secondary proved himself. Because when Jeremiah was in there, he was able to shut down the long pass. And I'm not saying that Jeff Brzezinski can't shut down the long pass. He definitely could. But Mahwah has to try and get some shots on the field. As the kickoff is handed by Stripe as he knocks over his own guy. And Stripe is taken down at about the 22-yard line.
I think the intentions of Jeff Brzezinski playing at the corner position is to shut down the run. You know, if they can't develop the run, they're not going to have a very good passing game. And by putting Jeff at the corner, he's a much bigger guy. So you're putting Danny into the safety, a little more speed. You put Jeff
Actually,
on the
Ray's
corner.
playing safety.
Was it Ray? Ray or Danny, either one's speed. You know, you put him there over Jeff. Jeff's a little bit bigger. He's going to be a little more of a backer size, so he's going to stop the run.
Mahwah's already tried to run the ball, and they haven't really been able to do it that effectively, so I definitely try some long passes down the field. Scherer, handoff to number 44, James Gianella.
Brzezinski on the tackle there. You know, that's exactly what I was just talking about. They tried to do a little play action, came right to Jeff's side, and he was waiting for him.
As that was a good play there by Jeff Brzezinski. Actually, Dave Ogden was in on the tackle there. As you see the Wayne Hills cheerleaders trying to cheer on the defense.
I think Ogden got in on that tackle a little later, but Jeff definitely had most of it.
So that was about a 5-yard loss for Mahwah there, so now it's going to be 2nd and 14. 2 wide receivers split right. I formation. Scherer back to pass. As the pass is complete to number 7, Jamar Dixon. A good hit there by Danny DeSico.
That was not Danny, David. That was Kevin Barakat. But back to my, actually back to nothing. Kevin Barakat just with a great hit there. He has a great brother, Brian Barakat, who I have the pleasure of working with. I mean, he just helps me out in all facets of my life.
I apologize for that. I thought it was Danny DeSico, but it was Kevin Barakat. Thank you, Andrew, for helping me out.
You got to give Kevin some credit. He's a senior, but Brian, I got to give him more credit.
So it'll be about 3rd and 8 here for Mahwah. Scherer back to pass. He's getting pressured by Dave Ogden and Kyle Hannenberg as Scherer completes the pass to number 34, Arad Naiman.
The screen pass is complete to number 30.
As Naiman is tackled at about the 40-yard line, and Mahwah will convert on 3rd down and get a first down.
As the
So
last
that was a good play there by Scherer. He was pressured by Dave Ogden and Kyle Hanberg, and Scherer is able to dump off the pass to Rod Naaman, and he converts on the first down. So it'll be first and 10 for Mahwah from their own 40-yard line. As Scherer heads it off to number 20, Greg Stripe, as Stripe scampers for a 7-yard gain.
Mahwah's been lining up very tight to the line of scrimmage, trying to get their running game going. Then they could utilize the play action, get at some of their bigger guys using the screen. I'm very impressed so far. They're doing pretty good on this drive. Let's see if they can keep it up.
A wallet has been found under the grandstand and belongs to Miss Una Park. Miss Una Park.
As the ref is talking something over with defensive coordinator Wayne Demikoff. Not sure why there's a delay. We'll be about 2nd and 3 for Mahwah from their own 47-yard line. Scherer hands it off to Stripe, as Stripe is hit hard by number 21, Ray Van Peden, but Stripe has enough to move the chains as he's taken down at about the 45-yard line.
Sounded like a whip. That was an amazing hit. You hear the helmet contact. Just great hit there by Ray Van Penen.
You got to give that to our audio crew. I think that was taken up by the shotgun mic there. I don't even know.
Parabolic.
That was unbelievable.
While we have a moment, I'd like to give you tonight's injury report, which is brought to you by Wayne Hills High School. Study hard and get good grades. Mike Giampapa is out with a broken femur, I believe. And
Yes.
Kevin Altanji is out. He has a shoulder injury. He's getting surgery, I believe, this week. We wish both of them a speedy recovery. As the handoff is to James Gianella as he goes ahead for about a 4-yard gain.
Steve Lacarica's hurt as well, Dave. He's not dressed.
Do you know what's wrong with Lacarica?
I don't. I just saw him in sweatpants, so I assume that he's hurt.
Well, hopefully Steve Lacarica has a speedy recovery from his injury, and we see him back on the field shortly.
Week after week we talk about this core linebacker here at Wayne Hills, which may be, unparalleled to any other in the state. But unfortunately, they're not doing too good on this drive. They really have to step it up and start filling some of these holes.
Scherer drops back to pass. He steps up. And Scherer's going to scramble ahead, and he's taken down about the 29-yard line. So Scherer has done a good job avoiding the pressure, as he's been pressured by the defensive line most of the night, but he's been able to step up in the pocket. If he doesn't see a receiver, he just scrambles ahead. And the way those linebackers are not prepared to try to get Scherer down, as Scherer's having a lot of holes to run through.
That was a solid tackle there by Tim Waller. So to get him down, Scherer could have gotten a couple more yards, but Timmy got in there and knocked him down.
This will be 1st and 10 for Mahwah from the Patriots' 28-yard line. Shearer rolls out to his right. As the pass is way over the head, that pass is intended for Rod Naaman. Naaman was wide open, and he probably could have gotten a first down on that play. But Scherer overthrows Naaman, so now it'll be 2nd and 10 for Mahwah from the Patriots' 28-yard line.
So it was heavy pressure on that play, so that's probably why Scherer had to rush his throw. Questions, comments, concerns, email us, WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. That is WayneHillsTV@AOL.com.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 for Mahwah from the Patriots' 28-yard line. Shearer passes it in the backfield to number 28, Scott McCurran, and he's taken down in the backfield for a loss of about 5 yards. Good defense there by Danny DeSico.
He's really come out of his own today, Danny DeSico. After a less than stellar game against Rampo, he's really shut up his critics, and he's come out and played awesome, to say the least. He's gone out there, got some key tackles, just putting pressure on the quarterback. He's done an excellent job in coverage as well.
This proves just how hard it is to score on this Wayne Hills first team defense. I mean, they had an amazing drive going, and now just like that, you have 3rd and long.
3rd and 15 here for Mahwah. 2 wide receivers split left. Shearer back to pass. He's getting pressured by Mike Fulham as Shearer gets the pass away. Good play there on defense by number 4, Tim Waller, as he slams Dylan Miola to the ground. Tim Waller usually plays most of the game, as you see Mike G and Papa observing the action. Tim Waller usually plays most of the game, but he doesn't start. Tonight, he gets a start, and he's making a big impact.
That was a huge play there by the Patriots. I mean, they just pushed the Thunderbirds way back. I mean, they could have gotten a possible field goal out of that, and now they're going to end up settling for a punt.
That's just a huge stand for the Wayne Hills defense. You go from having them in field goal range to just completely back to almost the 50-yard line where they're going to be punting, and it really just kills their momentum.
And Wally Johnson takes a timeout, I believe, for the Patriots, so just in case there's a fake coming out.
Wally World always has his team prepared for every little thing that all these teams have in terms of game planning and stuff. Wally World always has his team prepared. He's just a fantastic coach. Guys, what are your thoughts on Wally World, Wally Johnson?
I mean, I just want to bring up a point before you hear that. I hear chants of "Let's go Mahwah," so there must be a Mahwah faithful somewhere, like around here. I guess sitting in the Wayne Hills stands. I don't know. I heard it in my headset. So, but back to my poor Wally World. I mean, the years of experience that this man has, the number of rings that this man has is an unbelievable number. He just goes in there and he works his butt off.
And as I know of, he has a great appreciation for a broadcast. He sits down and watches them, almost every night they're on. So it's just great thing to know.
No, I didn't know that.
Wally Johnson has so many rings, he can't even wear them on his fingers. It just shows you the kind of coach he is. As a line drive punt by Mahwah, takes a Mahwah bounce. As Greg Stripe is going to touch the ball down at about the Wayne Hills 14-yard line. As Wayne Hills will take over at their 14-yard line. I'm not sure how much time is left here in the first half, but if you're just joining us, I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Matt Dubow. The Wayne Hills Patriots are defeating the Mahwah Thunderbirds 21-0 in a matchup of undefeated teams.
If I had to make a rough guess, I'd say there's maybe about 3.5 minutes left in the half, judging by the placement of the marching band on the field, getting ready for their performance. But that's very, very rough guesstimate, I guess you could say.
Oh, Matthew.
So first and 10 for the Patriots on their own 14-yard line. Brzezinski in motion. Kale's going to take it himself. He bounces out to the left. He's up the sideline. He's at the 30, 35, 40. Good block there by Brzezinski. And Kale's down the sideline. He stays on his feet, and he's down at about 14, 16-yard line.
Dr. Kale.
Kale.
Dr. Kale at it again. You see, he, on the passing game, he may be Dr. Kale, but he turns Mr. Hyde on you with the running game. So just amazing ability for Dr. Kale there to get to the outside, find some blockers, get behind Jeff Brzezinski, and just take it downfield. Very impressive.
Love the play call in there by Coach Joseph because Ray Van Peeten is such a successful back, and most teams are geared up to stop Van Peeten. But when they see that Kale fakes the handoff and rolls out, he's going to get a lot of big runs. Kale rolls out to his right, completes the pass to Mike Fulham. As Fulham breaks a tackle, he breaks another tackle when he's finally taken down around the 14-yard line, as the Wayne Hills Patriots will take their final timeout of the first half.
I believe the clock is winding down, judging by the coaches behind us, and they're saying that they should bring in Scott Schultz here for a little field goal attempt. If the clock is winding down, this could be a call. They're going to go to Wally Johnson.
Now it'll be 2nd and 6, as Scott Schultz is coming to the sideline, as Wily World's going to have a little heart-to-heart discussion with Scott Schultz.
I think they're going to go for a field goal.
Oh, they're going for a field goal. He's changing shoes. So
No,
Scott Schultz is getting set to kick his first field goal of the season.
This shows that my time estimate earlier was very incorrect. It was probably more like a minute and a half, and good clock management there.
The ball is around the 15-yard line. I think it's on the 15-yard line exactly. So it'll be about a 32-yard field goal for Scott Schultz. And there have been a couple of instances this year where the Patriots were backed up 15 yards on extra points. So Scott Schultz has made 34-yard field goals down the middle before, but this one's going to be from the right hash mark. So we will see how he is from the hash mark.
Nick Warzel in the 2004 state final kicked his game-winning field goal from the right hash mark. So the Patriots are known for the right hash mark, their beauty of kicking.
I believe that was about the same distance as the kick that Schultz would attempt now.
No, I think it was a little closer.
Yeah, probably a yard or two closer. But they still have time as the Patriots are going to run a play on offense. I formation, Kyle back to pass. He's going over the middle of the field as the Patriots coordinators are hoping for pass interference as the pass hits off of Mike Fulham's hand. So now Schultz is coming out to the field to kick a field goal. It's going to be about a 32-yard boot from the right hash mark for Scott Schultz. This will be his first field goal of the season. Last year, he was 1 for 3 on field goal attempts. He had a 26-yarder against the Golden Knights of Old Japan.
DeSico will hold. Schultz will attempt.
We wait in anticipation.
From about the 22-yard line.
So a 32-yard kick for Scott Schultz. DeSico to hold. The snap is good,
It's short.
as the kick is no good. It's short.
The kick is short, no good.
I believe that is the end of the first half here at Patriots Stadium, as the Wayne Hills Patriots are defeating the Mahwah Thunderbirds 21-0. Guys, what are your thoughts on the first half?
It was all Wayne Hills, to say the least. I mean, Mahwah had some sequences in which they played strong, but they really did not. I mean, quite frankly, Dave Ogden did a great job. And who are we interviewing during halftime that we did previous to the week? Dave Ogden. So, folks, you're going to see a good future with Matt Dubow with Dave Ogden.
So that's the end of the first half here at Patriots Stadium. Stay tuned for Band Senior Night, and then after Band Senior Night, stick around for the In the Locker Room report featuring number 55, Dave Ogden.
Yeah, I saw you wave it. Now, why isn't your son playing? Hit me up. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, since this is the last regularly scheduled football game for the 2006 season, we now honor the 24 senior members of the Wayne Hills Patriot Marching Band by having their parents escort them to their places in the opening set of the show, Around the World in 8.5 minutes. Our first senior is Kelsey Adams, a member of the Color Guard, with her parents Gay and Chris. Christopher Alvarez, an equipment manager and trumpet player, is escorted by his parents, Willa and Michael. Next, please welcome Chrissy Barbera, one of our drum majors and a tenor saxophonist, along with her parents, Luann and Steve. Escorting flutist Christina Becker are her parents, Susan and Bruce. Another Color Guard member, Susan Bedecker, is with her parents, Andrea Munley and David Bedecker. Sarah Carlock, a clarinet player, is escorted by her parents, Janet and Tom. Drum major Abby Dubnoff, a flutist, is with her mom and dad, Bonnie and Billy. Color Guard member Jessica Forlenza is escorted by her parents, Marcia and Rick. Next, we have drum captain Greg Graziano with his proud mother and father, Laura and Joseph. Christine Alice Hannigan, our band president and Barry sax player, is with her parents, Marcia and Lewis. Jay and Rosa Kwan are escorting their daughter, Kelly, who is the sax section leader. Color Guard member Jessica Lutza is being escorted by Mom Emily and Dad Jeff. Janine Mascari, a librarian and flute player, is escorted by her mother, Aviva Sanders, and her father, Barry Mascari. Vice President Davon McClam, who plays the quints in the drumline, is with his mother, Geraldine Solomon. Our next senior, Christine McNulty, also a librarian and flutist, is being escorted by her parents, Jean and Tim. Christina Mendoza, our publicity officer and a clarinet player, is with her mom and dad, Rosetta and Roger. Trombone player Amit Nigali is escorted by his parents, Alka and Aisha. Megan Ormsby, a color guard member, is with her parents, Janet and Thomas. Also a color guard member, Danielle Roger, is with mom Ann and dad Raymond. Librarian and clarinetist Megan Rooney is escorted by parents Linda and Robert. Here comes Matt Spadaro, an equipment manager and trumpet player with his mother Pat and dad Joe. Rosie and Greg Thomas are escorting their daughter Karen, a color guard member. Color guard captain Louisa Verhagen is with her parents Linda and Nick. Jamie Wright, a color guard member, is with her parents Cindy and Raymond. We wish all of our seniors well. Thank you for coming tonight, and we hope you enjoy our show.
We'd like to thank the Wayne Hills Marching Band for their performance. And now we're going to send you to a special feature done by Matt Dubow when he had some time to speak with number 55, Dave Ogden, in the In the Locker Room Report.
At defensive end, number 55, Dave Ogden, number 55.
To the In the Locker Room Halftime Report, I'm Matt Dubow. Alongside me, Dave Ogden, number 55. So, Dave, last week you faced rival Ramapo. You won 28-7. Now, I heard you suffered a minor injury. Tell me about that injury and how you're going to fare in the next upcoming weeks.
Well, it was only a sprained ankle, so, nothing much, but what I can do to it is just ice it. So, I'll be ready for Mahwah. I really want to get back onto the field. I just need to rest it, and I should be fine for Mahwah.
Talking about the Mahwah game, it's going to be senior night here at Wayne Hills, your last regular season game at Wayne Hills. It's also the Clash of the Titans, 2 undefeateds. Mahwah is undefeated as well as yourself. Now, what are you doing to prepare for the emotions that you're going to get throughout that game and as well as the team?
Well, it is senior night, so it's a must-win situation for us, considering if we want to stay the number 1 seed for our division, we're going to need the power points from Mahwah. So we're doing everything we can to win this game. We're going to practice longer. We're going to practice harder. I'm working my hardest to get back onto the field and go through their offensive plays, the defensive plays, and just all around prepare for the game. Because, senior night, it's the last regular season game for us. So, and it's going to be maybe the last time on our home field before playoffs. So we just need to do our best to get ready for this game.
All right, now I'm going to go back a little bit to probably the most important career game through your high school career thus far, States last year at Giant Stadium. You broke a very important school sack record. Now tell me about that night and what went through your head.
Well, it was the greatest night to break that record, considering it was in Giant Stadium. It was state championship. It was one of the greatest feelings ever, just to know that I hold a record among the great football players that came through the school. So, I grew up watching all these kids that were setting these records, and just to be a part of that elite group, it makes me feel so much better about myself. And, it was just a great accomplishment that I had throughout that season.
All right, now you were talking about some of the people who have influenced you. What players and family members, anything, have influenced you most here at Wayne Hills on the football field?
Well, I was growing up around my brother and his teammates, me being a water boy on the sidelines when I was younger, watching Greg Olson, Ryan Neal, my older brother, all of them play in those big games, just watching it, I enjoyed watching them play. They were like they were my heroes to me, because when I grew up, I knew I wanted to be just like them.
All right, that's all from In the Locker Room. We'd like to thank Dave Ogden for the interview. Back up for the second half of play. Thanks, guys.
Coming into this game, it was a matchup of 2 undefeated teams, the 8 Thunderbirds. How has Wayne Hills been able to dominate this game?
Well, I got to tell you, Hills football, down in the trenches, that O-line has really got it going today. They've really been synchronized in their movement. We saw in that one Kale run, Dr. Kale, as coined by Matt Dubow. But the line really moved well together. They all moved to the left, and they had a huge hole on that left side. Kale ran down for about close to 80 yards. So you really got to give credit to the O-line. They're just really putting people off the ball. And they're opening up great holes for the star-studded backfield, with DeSico and Van Peenan. So you really got to give it to the O-line tonight.
Well, in addition to the offense being great, the defense has also been lights out, making numerous tackles for loss, just winning every battle at the line, dominating the Mahwah offensive line. And Wayne Hills is just dominant, like always this year.
So, Max, at Tunis Stein Elementary School, you played a little football today. And now tell us about the game. And I also want to know, why is your connection with Dan Katz? Why is the chemistry so great between you guys, and what makes it work so well?
Well, I'd like to start off by saying football today was great. We really had some.
Did you get 97 touchdowns like you said you would?
I did not get 97, close to it, but not
How many
exactly.
did you get?
I had 6 or 7. We're rounded off to that, but I still got the bruises to show from it. But it was a lot of fun. We really had a good time today, though. But to speak about the chemistry thing, it's just kind of something that's we're in sync with each other. We know where we're going to be on the field, and you could see it in this Wayne Hills Patriots team. I mean, they have a lot of great chemistry. The defense moves together. The offensive line moves together, and kind of translates through our game to this game, even though, Wayne Hills is Wayne Hills.
So, Ricky, this upcoming tennis season, you're going to be the captain of the Wayne Hills Patriots. You're wearing your tennis sweatshirt. So tell us about the tennis team this upcoming season as the tennis team goes for their 3rd straight Passaic County title.
Although all my seasons at Wayne Hills have been great, amazing, so much fun, this year I'm easily the most excited for. We have a great team coming back, returning almost everyone. We got a freshman coming in that's supposed to be good, and I'm just really excited for this season.
I'd just like to just make a comment about Hills' performance today. As a true fan of Hills coming to the games and watching just their performances, I gotta say that it's really, I don't know if it's been too easy sometimes for Wayne Hills, and I as a fan I would like to see them playing against the top teams in the state, like the Boscos, a game that matter. We're the number 4 team in the state, top 5 team in the state, and when you see a team that's undefeated come into our stadium and just put up a big 0 on the board in the first half, again, you got to credit the Wayne Hills defense. But as a fan, you'd like to see some more excitement. But what are you gonna do?
Well, Max, do you think anyone in Northland Group 3 could challenge the Wayne Hills Patriots?
I really do not. I think this year everything's set up for the Patriots. Van Peenan and DeSico in the backfield. Everyone's healthy again. And again, the team is just playing well together. They're well coached. They're ready to play every time they step onto that field. So I definitely see them with having a good shot at winning the state championship.
Ricky, when you play backyard football, you play quarterback, you manage the game well, you get all your weapons involved. Talk about the job that Jeremiah has done tonight.
Jeremiah, I like or Dr. Kale, as Matt Dubow says, I like his style. For high school football, it's perfect how he runs the ball, but he could pass when he has to. But his running is just so good that it just opens up even more options for the Wayne Hills team.
Max, Ricky, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. It's always an honor to have the surgeon and Dr. Katz on the air. We'll be back with the second half of action right after this. How has Jeremiah been able to put it all together tonight?
He said he just feels that Jeremiah needs more reps. He doesn't get the reps obviously in the varsity games up until the time when Mike Giampapa went down with the injury. So it's a matter of being comfortable, working with the first string guys, in the practice and getting a couple games under his belt. And now you're seeing he's a lot more comfortable out there.
Ray Van Peenan, now this is his 4th game back from that knee injury he suffered in the Bosco game. He looks better and better every game. And now he's starting to break some tackles and he's starting to get some of his speed back. How do you think he looks tonight?
I think he looks pretty good. You saw in that one drive, the last drive there, which unfortunately didn't lead to any. It led to the failed kickoff. I'm sorry, the failed field goal effort. But they featured Ray at that point. He really pounded the ball up the middle, broke some tackles, as you said. And for a running back, it's all about timing. It's easier for Ray to make the adjustment to come back playing defense, but on offense, it's about the timing, working with the quarterback, reading the blocks, making your cuts, all that kind of stuff. And he's not at 100%, but he's getting a little better each day.
The Wayne Hills defense has really played well in this game. They've shut down the Mahwah running attack. How has the Wayne Hills defense been so good against the run tonight and overall this season?
Well, I think they've overpowered most of the teams they played up to this point. They're just physically bigger and stronger than most of their opposition. Coach Olson said the other day that he expected a battle here with Mahwah because they've got a very big and experienced offensive line. They average 250 across the front. And Mahwah gained a little bit of yardage there, but you saw the Hills defense was stiffening when they had to, and most of all, they're not giving up any big plays.
Now, let's go over and talk about the Wayne Hills special teams. Wally Joss has just done a fantastic job this season managing his special teams unit. How has this unit been so successful? And it hasn't really mattered the players that have been in the unit because year after year they have great return men on special teams.
Well, it's a matter of discipline and the commitment to spending the amount of practice time with the special teams that the Patriots do. And Coach Olson has said to me that he gives all the credit in the world to Walt Johnson for the special teams. In fact, he said this year is probably the best special teams he's had in his time here. And I think they've set a record for a school record for number of touchdowns on special teams. He's got some talented kids who are playing on special teams, but mostly it's the commitment to the practice. And the kids will all tell you, when we're working on special teams, we work 100% on that. We work on specials with as much commitment and as much effort as we do on whether we're playing offense or defense.
One quick last question. Northland Group 3 state playoffs start next week. Do you think anyone could give Hills a run for their money?
I think they're going to run into some competition. I think they're obviously the favorite in the group, but they'll probably have. I expect that they'll have a little more competition than they did last year, for example.
What teams do you think could give them trouble?
Well, Teaneck presents a threat just with Rashad White all by himself. I think if we get the hoped for Wayne matchup with Wayne Valley, they've got some players who can cause Hills some trouble, especially on their defensive unit is very strong. But I think that's probably and you can't overlook Old Tappan. Old Tappan played the Patriots very tough in the regular season game this year, and the way it looks now, it's a pretty good possibility that they might be facing Old Tappan in the first round.
Yeah, they could play Old Tappan next week. Wayne Hills was up 14-10 late in the fourth quarter, and then Dan DeSico threw that touchdown pass to Mike Fulham to ice the game.
Right.
So, Rich Stambulian, I'd like to thank you for joining us. And that was Rich Stambulian, a sports columnist from the Wayne Today. Thank you very much, Rich.
Hey, you snuck in there.
Rich Stambulian, always a pleasure to have him. And now we're back to the second half of action. I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Parker Weston. So, guys, what does Wayne Hills have to do in the second half to maintain their 21-0 lead?
Basically, Dave, they just have to pound the ball on offense, and on defense they had to stop Greg Stripe, which they have done most of the game. And we can't overlook Paul Scherer. He's played extremely well, I guess you could say, in tonight's game. But I seriously think the Patriots are just going to come away with the victory. I'm not feeling good.
As DeSico's in motion, handoff to Van Penen up the middle. As he gets a gain of about 2 yards on the play. So now it'll be third down and long for the Wayne Hills Patriots.
Morrison is brought down by
So Dave,
number 68.
You asked me the question of how the Patriots are going to keep it up. What are your keys to the Patriots keeping up their high-intensity play?
Well, the Patriots really have to control the clock. They have to run the ball effectively, run the offense, get some long drives going, and they have to stop the Mahwah running it, because Mahwah, they like to pound the ball with Greg Stripe. They have to get some pressure, and they have to make Paul Scherer, they have to make him make some bad throws and put a lot of pressure on him. As the pass is complete to Kevin Barracat as he drops the ball, so the pass is incomplete, and Wade will have to punt.
The pass intended
Last
for
week,
Kevin Barracat
wide receivers
is
dropped 2 passes from
incomplete.
Jeremiah Gayo, and that's the first drop by a wide receiver today. So the wide receivers definitely have to help out Jeremiah Gayo, especially since these are only his first couple of games starting as quarterback.
Mathurin and Stripe
So
are
DeSico's
deep
into
to
punt for Wayne
return.
Hills.
Dan DeSico's punt.
After the punt, send it down, all right? Am I going to give him a thumbs up or thumbs down?
So the
DeSico's
snap
punt
is good as DeSico punts it away. A nice deep punt by Danny DeSico as it's fielded by number 28, Scott Mathurin. And he's taken down. Good coverage there on special teams as Eddie Rolfe, Jeremiah Gayo, and Mike Roman, actually Tim Waller, Mike Roman are in on that play. And now let's send down to the sideline where Jason Oliphant is sitting by with Michael Giampapa. Jason, take it away.
Guys. I'm here with quarterback Mike Giampapa. Mike, you injured your left femur in the Old Tappan game, and right now, as it stands, the only chance that you have coming back is a state championship. How do you feel with your team up 14-0, and do you think that you'll be back for that state championship game?
Well, I'm really excited to come back. I'm working hard to get back on the team. And I'm working hard to get back ready to play. And, the team's got to get there. We got to get the state championship before I can play. So, we got to beat Mahwah before we get there, too. So, we got to take it one game at a time, and that's really how we take care of it.
Also, Jeremiah has been doing quite well for your Patriots. What do you think of him?
he's great. He's really stepped up. Me going down was pretty rough, and he's really helped the team out by stepping up and filling in pretty good. So I hope he continues to do well.
Mike, we hope you get better soon. Let's head back up to the booth.
Very much, Jason, and we wish Michael G and Papa a speedy recovery, and hopefully he can be back on the field, maybe for the state championship game. But if not, we hope to see Mike back next season, manning his quarterback position. As the handoff is to number 44, James Gianella, as he gets a gain of about 2 or 3 yards on the play.
And I just want Mike to know, I really hope you got better, because I missed doing the pregame show with you, one-on-one with number 1. It hasn't been the same. I'm serious. My heart goes out to you. I really hope you really could get better quickly, because I want to. Our rankings have gone down significantly on Channel 77 without one-on-one, so I hope you come back. Really, get better, kid.
Shotgun formation here for Mahwah. Actually, no, excuse me. Not shotgun formation. As Scherer hands it up to middle.
Miola on the carry.
As Dylan Miola goes ahead for about 4 or 5 yards. That's enough to move the chains. So even though Mahwah has not put up any points, they have moved the chains about 4 or 5 times in this game.
Yeah, well, their offensive line has won the battle in the trenches for their running game, but they haven't been able to produce any big gains or put points on the board. So that's the only factor working against the Mahwah Thunderbirds right now, and also too of that fumble early in the game that went for a touchdown.
So first and 10 for Mahwah at their own 43-yard line. Good play there by the Wayne Hills defensive line as Dave Ogden and Matt Johnson are in at that stop behind the line of scrimmage. So that's about a 2-yard loss for Greg Stripe.
Well, it doesn't seem like Dave Ogden's ankle is affecting him all today, because we have seen him on a number of tackles during this game.
So now it'll be 2nd and 12 for Mahwah at about their own 43-yard line. The scoreboard is not working here at Patriots Stadium, so we're doing this off the top of our head in terms of score and down and stuff. As the handoff is to Stripe. I think it's a good gain there, a gain of about 10 yards. So now it'll be 3rd and 2 for Mahwah from the Patriots' 47-yard line.
And this is a big play for the Thunderbirds, because right now, 3rd down, you're in the 3rd quarter, you're down by 21 points. If you want any chance in this game, you have to at least get the 1st down on this drive and put points on the board on this drive so they can get some confidence.
So big 3rd down play here for the Thunderbirds. Number 7, Jamar Dixon split left. Scherer, handoff to Mathurin, and a good play there by the Wayne Hills defensive stop, Scott Mathurin, as the Mahwah Thunderbirds do not convert on 3rd down, and now they have a big decision to make.
And Scott Schultz just clogged up the line there. He got the Greg Stripe immediately, and him and Tim Moore just took him down. Great pursuit there by the defensive unit.
Mahwah's going for it on 4th down, excuse me. They're going for it on 4th down. This is a huge 4th down play for the Thunderbirds.
Fourth and 3.
So it's 4th and 3 for Mahwah from the Wayne Hills 49-yard line. Scherer back to pass. Good play there by Matt Johnson as he stuffs the pass.
Scott Schultz, David.
I apologize for that. I thought it was Matt Johnson from my view, but good play there by Scott Schultz to knock down that pass as Mahwah fails to convert on 4th down.
Well, one of my keys early in the game today, at the beginning of the game, was for Wade Hills to come out here and play a complete game. Not to come here because they already have clinched the division and they're already headed to the playoffs. Not to come in here and play lackadaisical, not have their composure. But so far they've proven that they're ready to play the game today.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Wayne Hills Patriots on their own 49-yard line. As I believe Coach Olson uses a timeout here. Was it Coach Olson, guys?
Yes. Yes, it was.
I see the Wayne Hills football water coolers. That's where they get their liquids from when they need some water.
I would hope so, Dave. I'd hope that's where they get their water. From nowhere else.
Actually, Mahwah called a timeout. So Coach Jeff Remo is talking over some things of his team. So Mahwah is first in North 1 Group 2. They already locked up the #1 seed. The big game in determining the North 1 Group 2 standings was back a couple of weeks ago when Mahwah played at Pasnack Valley and beat the Pasnack Valley Indians 7-6. It was a huge upset, and that's what really put Mahwah on the map.
I mean, yeah, you're beating a team that of Pascack Valley's caliber. I mean, they're just unbelievable. And the size up front for them, and they had a lot of graduates, but overall they had a spectacular season this year, and they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, especially in Group 2.
As Mahwah could play North Warren or Ramsey in the first round, most likely North Warren. And Wayne Hills will either play Olephant or Morris Hills. It depends on the Ridgewood-Teaneck matchup and what the score is in that game. Hand off to Seacoast. He tries to bounce it out to the left, and he's going to be taken down for about a loss of 2 yards.
The Seago on the carry, Jamar Dixon.
Fulham's going to enter the game
on
again.
The tackle.
Masud comes out of the game, and now another big play here. It's going to be second down and long. Let's see how Jeremiah goes back there in the pocket, and he demonstrates. I could see a play action fake.
I can also see the Patriots utilizing Fulham as they did on the first drive of the game. We're putting him in the fullback position and having him go out for a pass.
So it'll be about 2nd and 12 here for Wayne Hills. I formation. Kale rolls out to his right, play action. As the pass is complete to Scott Schultz. He's at the 25-20. Good blocking by DeSico as Schultz is taken down at about the 5-yard line.
And I thought that play was going to be intercepted, but I guess it went past the 2 defenders and right into Schultz's hands. And Schultz darted down the side, and that was just an excellent play by him.
I kind of wish we had instant replay so we could see that play again because I as well thought that pass was intercepted too.
I thought that pass was intercepted at first. I didn't say it, but I thought it was intercepted, and then I thought it was dropped. And then when I saw Scott Schultz with the catch, I was just totally shocked. But a good play there by Jeremiah Kale using Scott Schultz. Like I said before, I really like that play-action play where the quarterback rolls out and throws to his tight end, especially because Scott Schultz is such a great target. He could catch the ball over the middle of the field. Kale. Hand off to Seco, and he's going to be a yard or 2 short of the goal line. So DeSico's second effort does not get him into the end zone. And it'll be 2nd and goal for the Wayne Hills Patriots. We're about the 2-yard line.
So I guess they're resting Ray because Ray has been on the sideline for the whole half. So I guess they're, giving him some time off and getting Danny more carries. So then in the playoffs, Ray's fresh.
2nd and goal inside the 2-yard
Even though Danny's held most of the workload this year along with Carlton Morrison.
Jumbo set here for the Patriots. Kyle, hand off to Seco, and DeSico scampers into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots! As the Patriots now take a 27-0 lead.
Many thought this game would be an upset, but overall, you got to look at the big picture here, and it wasn't going to be because Wayne Hills, they're just too strong for the Mahwah Thunderbirds. Even though Mahwah's 7-0, the Patriots, that they've prepared during the week on offense, defense, and special teams, so they were going to be ready coming into this game.
I'm also very impressed in the way Jeremiah has been playing in this game. Last game against Ramapo, he had his troubles and whatnot, but he's come back and really played strong so far. So I'm impressed with what Coach Olsen and he did over the week to prepare for this game.
As a nice kick by Scott Iowa Schultz, who's now 4 for 4 in the game on extra points.
Thunderbirds, nothing.
So that was Dan DeSico's 17th touchdown of the season. He leads Passaic County in touchdowns. And I believe he also leads the NBIL in points scored.
Yes, he does.
So he has 16 total touches in the season. He scored a touchdown 5 different ways. That's just pretty incredible.
Well, 17 now.
Yeah, 17 now.
So 28-0. Dave, if you're the Thunderbirds, if you're Scherer, if you're Greg Stripe, How do you suppose you get yourself back into this game?
Well, in my opinion, Mahwah is really going to need a miracle if they want to come back from this game. They're down 28-0. They haven't been able to get the ball into the red zone in this game so far. So it's going to be really tough for Mahwah to come back. It's going to take a miracle. Let's put it that way. But back to what I was saying. Danny DeSigo scored a touchdown 5 different ways this year. He has a passing touchdown, which he had against Olephant. He's had a ton of rushing touchdowns. He had a receiving touchdown against Demorest. He had an interception return for a touchdown. And he had a punt return for a touchdown. So that's pretty remarkable.
It is a very remarkable stat. There's not many players that play football that have scored a touchdown 5 different ways.
And Carlton Morrison on the tackle for the Patriots.
There's some, I guess, cameramen for Cablevision. I'm not very sure, but News Channel 12, News New Jersey. I'm not sure. I'm not feeling up to my best, folks. I'm sorry for my lack of enthusiasm. Usually I am very into it, but right now I'm rather ill.
As Paul Scherer leads troops to the line. As there's going to be a 1-yard loss on the play for the Thunderbirds. As number 44, Gianella, is slammed down to the grass by a host of Patriots.
Johnson and Ogden bring down number 44, James.
Any
Gianella.
questions, comments, or suggestions, please email the Wayne Hills TV Club at WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. Once again, that is WayneHillsTV@AOL.com.
And now we're going to have Q's quarter, Michael McHugh. Welcome to the booth. You had your sideline interview with Jason Oliphant. How did that feel being interviewed by Jason Oliphant?
Well, that did not go well. To say the most, you know. There was a lot going on. Dave, from what I've heard, Dave was talking a little bit too long, so we got cut off a little bit.
I don't know.
It wasn't the best.
Michael, you're calling me out. I'm in a state of shock with you right now.
I always call you out, Dave.
Now, Michael, let's go a little off topic, off football here. We had practice today for the Ghost Knights, and you know things went pretty well. But anything particular point out at practice?
Well, I'd like to point one person out. When we were playing 4-on-4s, Jason Oliphant hit the first 2 threes that he took. Then he took like 70 other shots, and he made one more. So, I mean, other than that, we were doing pretty well. You know, Frank Franco was pounding the ball into, you know, the layups. He was unstoppable down in the post. And then we had this one guy who was an absolute baller. He was something else.
Oh, yeah, that one guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking. Name's unknown, but how about the coaching staff of the Ghost Knights?
Oh, well, there was a press conference after practice today. Well, first we had a coach by the name of Kevin Grimes. For some reason, or for his loyalty of the New York Jets, he resigned. Then there was also a rumor going around about Lucas DiMattoulis being our next coach. But as the assistant coach for the Morris Knowles basketball team, he had to step down. So now we have 2 men by the name of Charlie Patterson and Kalo.
Kalo doesn't have a last name, I guess. I don't know. I don't have that information in front of me, but yeah, they're the new coaches. 10-game season. What are your predictions for the final record?
I have high hopes. I think this team can gel. We can work together. I think we'll go either 6-4 or 7-3. We'll be pretty good.
And how about Joe Stimmel and his moped riding?
Well, Joe Stimmel, he's a great driver on that moped. He has his license, moped license. He does not have his permit. He's still only 15 years old. A sophomore at DePaul Catholic.
Yeah, well.
He operates it well, you know.
Now, any final words on the Ghost Knights?
You heard?
Thank you, Michael, for that interview. Have a good night, and we're back to the game.
So on that last play, Mahwah ran a successful reverse against the Wayne Hills defense as they moved the chains. So Mahwah has a 1st and 10 on their own 47-yard line. If you're just joining us, the Patriots are defeating the undefeated Mahwah Thunderbirds 28-0. I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Parker Weston. Scherer tosses it out to Stripe as Stripe struggles and he just barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. So it'll be 2nd and 10 for Mahwah.
So this quarter is slowly closing, coming to an end. What do you look for in Wayne Hills in the fourth quarter as well as Mahwah in the fourth quarter?
Well, I would believe that Coach Olson's probably going to put some of his reserves in. This game's definitely in Wayne Hill's grasp. And if I'm Mahwah, I give some of the starters a break. You forget about this game because Mahwah didn't really need to win this game. It didn't really mean anything to Mahwah. It's just to try to test how good they really are. As number 79, Connor Hardigan, is on the field. He's being attended to by the Mahwah coaching staff. And Margaret's now on the field to attend to Hardigan. Margaret Doherty, legendary athletic trainer of the Wayne Hills Patriots. And as Michael McHugh just told us, Margaret is very talented at icing the pitcher's arms for baseball.
Well, it wasn't just pitchers, because Jared Chowdhury used to go in there numerous times with me to get our arms iced. I mean, I didn't really have any excuse to ice my arm because, well, you know, I didn't lead the league in innings played. I'll leave it at that. But, no, Margaret's a great woman at heart, you know.
As Hardigan walks off the field on his own power. Good to see that he's okay. So next week, Wayne Hills will either take on Olephant or Morris Hills. It looks like they're going to play the Golden Knights of Olephant. And guys, how do you think Wayne Hills will do against Olephant?
Pardon me, Dave. I'm sorry. I was listening to the announcement.
Well, Andrew, you're supposed to be concentrating on
Well,
the game.
somebody's wallet was lost.
It's okay.
It could have been
happens to
mine.
the best of us. But what do you think about that matchup between the Golden Knights of Olephant and the Wayne Hills Patriots?
I'll give it to you after this play.
As Scherer drops back the pass, and he completes the pass over the middle. As the pass is complete to number 15, Jamal Clay.
Back to what your question was, David. The Golden Knights it's in the Wayne Hills Patriots. It's going to be an intriguing matchup, to say the least, because we all know that these two teams, they played each other at Olephant earlier in the season, and Olephant lost to the Patriots 21-10, even though they put up a good fight. It was close throughout the game. Highlight in that game, Mike G and Papa getting hurt. But no, I really think it's going to be another good game, I could say. It will be here at Patriot Stadium, but I still think the Patriots have the edge since they beat them the first time.
And that was the end of the third quarter as the Wayne Hills Patriots are defeating the Mahwah Thunderbirds 28-0. And now we are joined by Matthew Dubow.
I'm back and better than ever. So let's get this thing going.
So Matt, we're talking about possible first-round playoff opponents for the Wayne Hills Patriots. It's either going to be the Golden Knights of Olephant or Morris Hills. If Wayne Hills plays Olephant, what do you think about that matchup as you see the cheerleaders doing their dance on the screen?
I think Olephant would actually be a harder matchup for them. There's a lot of emotions behind that matchup. They face each other every season, and year after year, it's a hard-fought matchup. They really gave Wayne Hills one of their only challenges this year. And, I mean, it's just going to be tough for them to go against a team that they know can play. And I think it's just a little scarier, you know.
So we're just about to get the fourth quarter underway here at Patriots Stadium. As the Patriots are totally manhandling the Mahwah Thunderbirds in this game in a matchup of two undefeated teams. As Mahwah has a 1st and 10 from the Patriots' 34-yard line. Scherer hands it off to number 28, Scott Mathurin.
So, Dave, now our senior announcers, Matt Dubow, Parker Weston, Spencer Furtick, this is their last regular season game ever. How's it? I'm going to miss them, not going to lie. I mean, we still got the playoffs coming up with them, but they're just great gentlemen to work with.
Words can't describe the contributions that Matt Dubow, Parker Weston, and Spencer Furtick have made to this club.
Yeah, it's quite an honor to be broadcasting with you. We love to do this week after week. We put our heart and soul into it, as you see, with all the little extras, the credits you'll see tonight. We worked on for hours. My Andrew Gayo and myself, just painstakingly, and we really, really love to see the results firsthand.
As that handoff was to Mathurin, good play there by Mike Fulham, tackle Mathurin about a yard behind the line of scrimmage. So now it'll be around 3rd and 12 for Mahwah at about the 36-yard line of the Wayne Hills Patriots. So even though Mahwah has been able to get down the field 2 times, they haven't been able to get into the red zone yet, and now they face a 3rd and long situation.
Now, Matthew, TV1 freshman year for me. When I walked in that class the first day of school, and you were there, sitting there, Miss Laura Allegri's
I
class.
was glowing, wasn't I?
No, I wouldn't. You had long hair.
I did have very long hair.
You had long hair, but would you ever have thought when I walked in that you and me would be sitting here 2 years later,
Andrew,
doing this?
We do have quite a bit of a past at the Albert Payson Junior Elementary School.
We
We had quite a few
backgrounds.
field days together. Many activities. So I did see it possible. Although you and Mrs. Allegri weren't the closest of friends.
Well, yeah.
We found kindled spirit in Mr. Hookstraight, and we've come together once again. And it's definitely for the best, and I'm happy it's happened, and I think we're a great team.
Oh, Mr. Hookstraight's definitely put us on the right path.
As there's a 5-yard penalty on the play. I believe the face mask was on Mike Fulham. Toss to the right to Greg Stripe. As he gets a gain of about 3 yards on the play, but Stripe's going to be about 2 to 3 yards short of the first down. So it's a 4th and short situation here for the Mahwah Thunderbirds, and I believe they'll go for it. As Kyle Hannenberg and Ray Van Pena combine on the tackle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the badminton legend at Wayne Hills, Ethan Goldstein, is in attendance tonight. He used to, I forgot who his partner was. I can't believe I'm forgetting. Oh, it was Quinn. Quinn Gal was his partner. They used to just own me and Tom Gallo in badminton. They were a very talented group of young men.
So 4th and short here for Mahwah. Sherrod. Good play there by Danny DeSico and Dave Ogden as they combine on the sack. As Dave DeSico has just been an absolute beast on defense tonight. And actually, Doug Hannig is now in that quarterback for Mahwah.
They made that switch a little bit earlier. You guys didn't quite notice it. I was dying
Matt,
to tell you.
You're a spotter. You got to tell me.
I'm not exactly sure what their reasoning behind it was.
You don't have to have a reason. If there's a switch, you got to pat me on the shoulder and say, Dave,
there wasn't much, there wasn't much activity going on with the previous quarterback. He wasn't getting it done, I guess you could say. And you don't want to jeopardize his health going into the playoffs, which is, they're really not in this game. They're not playing competitively. Put in the backup, let him get some experience, and save your starters for the playoffs.
As Coach Remo is burning a timeout right now, he's going to have a little talk with his defense. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email the Wayne Hills TV Club at WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. Once again, that is WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. Are you a pro sports fan? Then watch the 30-minute drill on Channel 77. The drill features Jason Olephant, Jake Silverman, Aaron Plastic, Michael Botwinick, Sean Yu, Carlton Marson, and others.
Dave, I'm not going to lie, that drill was nothing compared to ours. Our year was something else.
We were something special. We really, as a cast, had some chemistry that was unparalleled.
Yeah, especially once you joined in the middle of the year, Dubow.
Yeah.
It was just unbeatable.
Once your head started popping under the table, that was out of control.
Or how about those bloopers when I started singing about Ryan Dubin's mom, Zelma Dubin?
You're going to have to do a demonstration.
What?
You're going to have to do a demonstration for us after this play.
I worked on Patriot Pride while I worked in 30-Minute Drill, and I would host that show, and week after week I'd stare at 30-Minute Drill, and I'd just say, there's a void here. There is something not right.
There's something
and
missing.
I took the responsibility to fill that void, and I think I did a pretty good job if I could pat myself on the back.
Oh, yeah. You did a superb job, to say the least. But when Jimmy Stockdale was on the show, I mean, he just added a charisma as well. Him and Dave out there, they did a spectacular job. Jared Chowdhury also threw in some advice about the NCAA tournament, but that was short-lived. Andrew Axelband, who could forget?
Oh, yeah.
And also, Sammy Ulrich hosted one of the segments, the first girl to be part of the 30-minute drill.
Cool.
As Tim Waller had the sack on that last play, a turnover and downs. As Zico bounces out to the right side, makes a great deke. He's down the sideline as he's taken down at the 36-yard line. What a fantastic display of speed and agility there by Danny DeSico.
There was an amazing block there by Ray Van Pena. A guy was tailing DeSico, and he just came out of nowhere and laid him out.
And that's dangerous. If you have DeSico and Van Pena in your same backfield, oy vey, I mean, that could cause nightmares.
I'm glad I don't have to play defense against those two. That's all I could say.
Well, Dave, you in football is like saying apples and oranges. It just does not mix, to say the least. And
well, Andrew, how do you know that? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Well, let's just say you and Tony Saragusa do not share the same body type.
as Carlton Marson gets his first carry of the game, and he's going to be tackled in the backfield for about a 2-yard loss. So now it'll be 2nd and 12 for Wayne Hills from the Mahwah 38-yard line.
Why, David? You think you have a career set for football?
Well, let's just put it this way. My career is going to be in the booth. I play football for fun with Max Henson and Ricky Katz. But the one time I played, I had a tough go-around. Max Henson was covering me, and he didn't give me anywhere to run. You know, I couldn't get open. I had a lot of trouble getting open. I couldn't contain with the speed of Max Henson. On defense, Max Henson beat me for a long pass line. So it was very tough. And then the one pass I did get from Micah Bate, I was ready to catch the ball, and then Max Henson comes out of nowhere and just takes the ball and runs back for a touchdown. So let's just put it this way. As long as I don't have to deal with Max Henson on the football field, I think I could make a name for myself in backyard football.
I don't know,
I think you're much better in the announcing booth than on the field, Dave.
Well, Matt Dubow used to play football for the PAL Wolfpack.
I did. Back in 5th, 6th grade, I was a slot back, which I don't even think is a real position, but for the Wayne PAL, I played alongside Ray Van Peenan, Anthony Garnto, who didn't play in high school, but he was very talented. He was our quarterback. And we were undefeated, I believe, one of the years we played. We went all the way to the championship and beat Upper Saddle River.
Oh, really?
So it was, I had some experiences there, but, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone else kept getting bigger, and I stayed the same size, so that proved to be a problem.
Kale hand up to Seco as he breaks a tackle, and there's a flag on the field as Seco's taken down at about the 28-yard line.
I believe it might be a face mask, but I could be wrong.
Actually, Upper Saddle River, that's some kids from Northern Highlands there, so look how the town has declined over the years.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. They're very big when you're little, and then they don't seem to grow.
Yeah, but also our year in 8th grade, David, when Mike Giampapa was the quarterback and Danny DeSico was the running back for the PAL Wolfpack, they beat the Wayne Panthers, who was Jeremiah's Kale's group, in the semifinal, and they ended up losing the Mahwah PAL team. So, you know, shows you how times have changed.
So the penalty is on Mahwah as Wayne Hills will get an extra 5 yards on that play.
So Wayne Hills is just going to keep running out the clock here. I don't think you're going to see any pass plays. They're going to want to try to keep it safe, you know. Probably end up scoring here on this drive.
As the handoff is to Carlton Marson as he scampers up to the 10-yard line. So now it will be 1st and goal for the Wayne Hills Patriots.
And that was just another great play there by Carlton. I mean, he's had an underrated year as well. I mean, he's carried a lot of the load at the running back position. He's done an excellent job on there and punt returns.
So it'll be 1st and goal for Wayne Hills just inside the 10-yard line as they'll look to add on to their 28-0 lead. As the handoff is to Seco. And he's into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the game as the Wayne Hills Patriots take a 34-0 lead. As you see, Dan DeSico getting some congrats from number 44, Mike Roman.
DeSico showed great athleticism, diving over a little pile there to get into the end zone. Just a great job.
So that's his 18th touchdown of the season for Danny DeSico. He's just having a fantastic junior season.
Junior year's your biggest year to make your name for yourself. That's what Ray did last year.
The snap is good. The hold is good. As the kick splits the uprights and the Patriots take a 35-0 lead. We all know Dan DeSico is very versatile. He plays on offense, defense, and special teams. But now that Mike Giampapa could be done for the season, DeSico's now the holder. So let's talk about his responsibility as the holder for Scott Schultz.
Well, his brother was the holder for Nick Warzel, back when Pete was here. So Danny probably got some pointers from Pete back then. As we some of the band members are really getting into it down on near the cheerleaders. I'm appalled right now. If I could get a shot from from my cameraman, I mean, they are doing some very interesting dance moves in the back. I mean, I can't shimmy like that. Look at your back row there, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
believe that's some of the band members.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The band members are really, I think they're better than some of the cheerleaders.
They like to, jump in and have some fun. I mean, they're definitely showing some skill there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Andrew, I can't believe it. You're calling out the cheerleaders.
Well, I take that back because their assistant coach is Mrs. Roxanne Scala. She told me science in 7th grade, so she knows a thing or two about cheerleading.
I'm sorry to interrupt this very intelligent conversation, but I have a little statement to make about the holder a question Dave had earlier. You know, in order to be a holder, you have to have a great deal. Someone has to be able to trust you a great deal. You know, Mike Giampapa, everybody loves him. He's a very charismatic character. Everyone trusts him. Danny showed some of the same qualities with Scott, which is, I think, one of the reasons they picked him.
As Scott Mathurin drops the kickoff, but he picks it up and returns to about the 22-yard line. So the scoreboard does not work here, so I'm not sure how much time is left in the fourth quarter, but it's probably not too much time. If you're just joining us, we're nearing the end of the game here. I'm David Suntup alongside Andrew Gayo and Matt Dubow, as the Wayne Hills Patriots are defeating the Mahwah Thunderbirds in a battle of undefeateds, 35-0.
You know, I just like to, you know, I'm a little scared to say this, but in case I don't announce the next game and you know, in the playoffs, and they do happen to lose, it's been an honor, guys. You know, I'm just talking on possibilities here. I don't want to get all teary-eyed, but it's been
Matthew,
great.
you'll be
And
back.
I think I'll be seeing you throughout the playoffs.
Matthew, I'll see you every day. You're in my TV class, so relax.
As the handoff is to the fullback, James Gianella, as he scampers up for a game about 5 yards.
Oh, David, I wish we had a scoreboard that worked. I really do. I wish there was such a thing.
I really wish the scoreboard was working too. It's so much easier when you see the scoreboard working. You know how much time is left.
Dave, I have a suggestion for you too, Matthew. If you remember back at the Terhune days, during gym class with Mrs. Haggerty, you had a job sometimes to flip the scoreboard with the
scoreboard.
Yeah, remember that, Dave?
What
when
an
you had to
invention.
Margaret Haggerty, bringing back memories.
Yeah,
That's all I could say.
That was something else.
Well, yeah, but there's still no time on that score. But hey, at least you have the score. But we know the score. As I believe Doug Hannig took that himself, and he gets a gain of about 2 on the play.
No, the
Close
stands
to the
are
first down.
The stands are thinning. I think this Wayne Hills faithful is very excited to get, you know, plunge right into the playoffs. So most of it's gonna. I think they clinched home field. Am I correct?
For
the first 2 rounds,
yes,
they clinched home field.
Yes.
Well, Teaneck could be the 1 seed, but that
they'll
game
never
could be at
meet-
Giant
yes.
Stadium.
So they clinched
The only
you know,
difference
the
would be
first 2
Wayne Hills will
rounds.
wear their white jerseys instead of their maroon jerseys.
Clinched the first 2 rounds of the playoffs at home, which are probably the only 2 rounds that would be played out of Giant Stadium. You know, Wayne Hills is going to come and support them. They're going to put all their effort into cheering on this team, help bring them a victory.
As Hannick hands it off to number 20, Greg Stripe. As Stripe scampers to about the 38-yard line of Mahwah.
Now, Dave, I have a question for you. Back in 5th grade when we played flag football in gym class, just give me an overall summary of like how you felt that during those couple weeks since you played and I played. Max Taylor, Josh Klein. Give me something.
Well, they were great times. You know, words can't describe the kind of times and memories that we had playing flag football.
How about the one time when the ball you know, drifted a little out of reach and it hit Ms. Haggerty? What were your feelings about that?
I was laughing hysterically. I was laughing so hard, I was about to cry.
That was
You guys have
funny.
quite a memory.
Oh, well, no, we're not even close yet. David, remember in kickball when I dove for that ball and I got very frustrated? What did Ms. Haggerty say to me again?
Andrew, stop being so dramatic.
Yeah, she was not the biggest fan of me. I mean, she was tough.
You know,
but speaking of football, back in Schuyler Colfax Middle School, I had the honor of playing football for Wally World, Wally Johnson. Just great memories. He really taught me a lot. He taught me how to throw a football. It was just an honor to be coached by someone of Wally World's caliber.
Guys, back to the game. You know, Wayne Hills has most of their starting defense on the field, and up until this point, Mahwah's been doing an okay job of running the ball. I know they haven't really translated any of this into points, which is a lot of because of pressure on the quarterback, but they're not doing that bad of a job running the ball, which shows some holes in the Wayne Hills running defense. You think that, you know, opposing scouts who might be in the stands could pick up on this, and this could be an issue for them?
Well, definitely, because Olephant will be the opponent for the Patriots if all things line up correctly. And that means Mo Gotuk and Jamie Rowe, who didn't do too well the first time around against the Patriots, they're going to have a second opportunity. So we're going to see that here next week at Patriot Stadium.
The reason why Mahwah has been able to run the ball a little bit tonight is because they're getting good penetration on the offensive line, and they're opening up holes, especially right up the middle. Usually, Wayne Hills doesn't allow big rushes up the middle, but they've been allowing some rushes up the middle tonight, and that's been the big difference for Mahwah. But if Wayne Hills happens to play Olephant next week, if I'm Coach Olson, I'd put 8 or 9 guys in the box against Olephant and challenge Olephant to throw the ball.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the 8 or 9. Crowd the line. You want to if a team can't develop the run, they're gonna have a very poor job of executing the play action, dumping it to some big guys, getting some easy catches, which is gonna just make their offense struggle the whole game.
As the handoff is to Greg Stripe as he scampers up for about a 3-yard gain to the Wayne Hills 42-yard line. 43-yard line, excuse me.
As you see the Mahwah stands, they're probably not too happy with the outcome of this game, and they wanted an early shot home. It's a little nippy out.
As some of the Mahwah fans are starting to depart Patriot Stadium and head back to Mahwah, New Jersey. It's about a 30-minute ride from here. Maybe
No, a little less. Dave, what
15, 20 minutes.
15,
I would
20
think.
minutes. Come on, David. You're a big guy. You're better than that.
Someone email us. Give us the approximate time.
Yeah.
As Dave DeSico gets another sack, and Doug Hanning is thrown to the ground as Dave DeSico continues his fantastic night on defense.
This is the first real game you're seeing Danny blitz. He hasn't been getting too much penetration. They've been using him more as a cover corner. He had some trouble in the last game against Rampo, made a few mental errors, and he's really coming back here tonight, playing very aggressive ball, and I like it.
As Hannig heads back to the huddle after getting the play from Coach Jeff Remo. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please email the Wayne Hills TV Club at WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. Once again, that is WayneHillsTV@AOL.com. Hannig hands it off to number 28, Scott Mathurin. As Mathurin gets about 9 yards on the play, so he will be about 6 yards shy of the first down marker.
I really wish we knew how much time there was left, David, because then we can know when we can go home and warm up, because I am feeling absolutely horrendous right now.
So if Wayne Hills is a number 2 seed, they could play Wayne Valley in the North Run Group 3 state semifinals, because Wayne Valley is locked in at number 3, and they will open against the Passaic Valley Hornets. There'll be a rematch of a dramatic Passaic Valley victory at Passaic Valley against the Wayne Valley Indians, where Passaic Valley hit a last-second field goal to upset the Wayne Valley Indians. And this is the end of the game as the Wayne Hills Patriots defeat the Mahwah Thunderbirds 35-0. As the Wayne Hills Patriots improved to 9-0, and the Mahwah Thunderbirds suffered their first loss of the season. Guys, what are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, many thought this could have been a possible upset of Mahwah defeating the Wayne Hills Patriots, but it wasn't. Patriots played business as usual ball, 35-0. Another big win for the Patriots. Heads into the playoffs with momentum, got their defense back, and their offense really was in sync compared to last week against Rampo when it wasn't.
Yeah, they really did an amazing job at running the ball. Jeremiah Kale did a great job of executing the quarterback's bootleg, the option, as well as passing. You saw, some passing game from Wayne Hills, which you haven't really seen all season. Their defense did a great job, a little lack in the run defense, but I think they can improve that. I'm sure also have them watching films, working on everything all week. Great job by Wayne Hills to snap back after a lackluster performance last week to come back with a huge win against an undefeated team this week.
I was really impressed with the Wayne Hills offense. They really mixed it up well. I like the passes by Jeremiah Kale. He got his receivers involved. He got Mike Foreman involved. Scott Schultz involved. All the running backs got involved tonight. And then Jeremiah was able to throw the ball. And when he faked the handoffs to Van Peenan and DeSico, he was able to rush for big gains. And then also, Dan DeSico was just fantastic on defense tonight. He made a lot of big plays. And while the Wayne Hills Patriots gave up some rushing yards, they contained Greg Stripe for the most part tonight. So they did a really good job shutting down Greg Stripe and the rest of the Mahwah rushing attack.
Yeah, I mean, it just proves that the defensive unit for the Patriots is very strong, and we all know that they come out to play, and when they do. And folks, you're gonna enjoy our credits. I'm sorry, I'm just so pumped up.
Yeah, we worked very hard on the credits, but I'm looking forward to seeing this team in the playoffs. I think they're gonna do very good in the first, initial, maybe second round. But there's gonna be some good matchups, some hard-fought matchups, and that's something they haven't really seen too much this year. So I think that's what Coach Olson is going to have to prepare them for, a little bit closer matchups. And it's going to be a very fun postseason to watch.
the Wayne Hills Patriots' next game will be Friday, November 10th at 7 o'clock. Depending on the outcome of the Teaneck Ridgewood game, Wayne Hills will either be the first seed or the second seed. If they're the second seed, they'll take on the Golden Knights of Olephant. If they're the first seed, they'll take on Morris Hills. The game will be here at Patriots Stadium, regardless of the outcome of the Teaneck Ridgewood game. And I'd like to thank everyone who's involved in our broadcast tonight. And we will see you next Friday night for the first round of the North 1 Group 3 state playoffs.
Let the credits roll.